Yeah, going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, having a look in the live chat. Welcome, people who've logged on. Bang on time. It's great to see you. The Diocese of Derry, Northern Ireland. Tony from the Diocese of Derry, Northern Ireland. Good morning. Good afternoon, even. It's great to see you. NDCOS Live, you're here as well. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. We're here in our studio. My name's Tom. Hi, up there, and here's Naomi.
Hello. Hi.
We're going to give you guys 5 or so minutes just to kind of log in and get on board and make sure you're in. How many people we got logged in at the moment, Naomi?
We've got, let me just see, 19.
Amazing. That's going to grow. We've got lots of people. Mike, All Hallows Catholic High School. Kate from All Hallows in Preston. Great to see you. Thank you very much, Mike. Good to see you. We've got Andrew, RE Advisor from Hex from Newcastle. Faith Formation, Sealstown and Kuma. Hi, how you doing? Jules from the Derry Diocese. Good to see you, Jules. How you doing? Emma Biggins from St Cassian's in the mix. We've got all of the Clumbers in Britain have said hello, which is fantastic. We've got St Cassian's are in. Good to see you, Izzy. How you doing? Amazing. The Ignite team in East Anglia as well. It's fantastic to have you with us. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Hi, James. Great to see you. Already, this is a massive success because just bringing amazing people like you guys together is very much what this is all about. Just to give you a bit of a heads up, we're going to jump from here. We'll do the whole tutorial stuff. We'll do a lot of screen sharing, and we're going to flip between different cameras and show you all the different bits and go through all the software and stuff. And then later, we'll give you a chance to jump into a kind of little like a Google Meet, like a Zoom room, where we can have a bit of a chat and have a talk about some of the strategies, some of the software, ask questions. But for the meantime, if you want to ask stuff, say hi, do anything, the live chat is the best place to do it. We've got some more people. Bex, good to see you. How you doing? Aoife from Derry here too. Great to see you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being here as well. It's great to have you. It's great to have you here. This is the well, sadly the first and probably last broadcast we'll do from here from a while before we pack it all up and go home. We set everything up for today, and we've got everything working so we can share with you all of the different processes and software and stuff we use, and then we're going to have to dismantle it all and take it all back to our attics to continue our live broadcasting. But what we'll hopefully show you is that that's really easy to do. And of course, all of us we know are going to be reliant on doing this kind of thing very much more in the next kind of few weeks. How are we doing? Ella May, good to see you. Kevin, great to see you. Mary, good to see you. How we got? Sarah, good to see you. Loving the emoji use as well. That's excellent. Everyone loves a good emoji at this time of year. Fantastic. We're going to give you 1 more minute, 2 more minutes in fact. So if you've not got drinks, tea, coffee, that's important, okay? Any person who works in anything technical will know that it's all fueled on coffee. So make sure you've got a drink, make sure you're comfortable. And I know that when Naomi sent out the promo stuff before, there was the software you might want to download. If you want to make sure you've got that, don't worry if you don't. I'm going to go through everything and show you everything on screen so you can see how it all works and stuff. But if you want to play along and try out stuff as we're doing it, that's all good as well. OBS Studio is what you need. That's the only bit of software you need. And if you've got yourself a YouTube channel, you can log in and have a poke around in there as well. But again, don't worry, we'll go through all that in a minute. Cool. Everyone's checking. How many are we on now? We've got
27.
27 people. It's marvellous. This is great. It is really good. Just to let you know as well that the archive of all this, all the kind of video you watched today will all be sent out to you so you can watch it back. So you might want to make notes and stuff, but if you don't, that's okay, because you'll get a chance to kind of watch all this kind of stuff back. So it's all good. It's all good. I think we might get cracking. If that's all right, we can start off. Do you want to flip over to this camera? Please keep giving your shout outs. Please ask your questions as well in this one. We are in our studio. We're very fortunate where we work to have a studio. We've invested quite a bit of time and actually not a lot of money in making all of this work. It might look all super fancy, but what I hope we'll show you today is not just kind of the equipment and the software, but all of this is actually really accessible, really doable, really possible. And I suppose most importantly, really awesome. We have been forced as a church to move online, to live in a digital world where really we're not we're not familiar or not comfortable. In Christus Vivit, Pope Francis talked quite particularly about social media and how it's such an important kind of opportunity for evangelization. But that, of course, with that opportunity comes the understanding that it can be a dangerous space. You know, I personally think we have a duty to be in that digital space. I think we've got a moral obligation to be a voice of faith and of light and of hope and of positivity in what can be a very toxic and very kind of destructive and very damaging world for our young people to live in. We can't just say, well, that's not for us, we're going to do it this way. We've got to be in there accompanying them, because this is the space and world and reality which they're in. And of course, if this session or this training evening could not be more perfectly timed, as of last night, of course, all of our young people, again, are at school on a screen, or at home on a screen, or going to mass on a screen. And so what I think we need to do, and what I think we're called to do, is to equip ourselves with the skills, the knowledge, and the desire to do things really well. To do things really professionally, and to do things really accessibly, so that what we do can reach as many people as possible. The way this afternoon is going to work is quite simple, really. We're going to go through kind of some of the basics of live streaming, and we're going to look particularly, as this is a masterclass, at a piece of software called OBS Studio, Open Broadcaster software. It's an amazing piece of free software that we have used for years to do all of our live broadcasts. It's what enables you to move from just having like a Zoom call where you're just there, or screen sharing your PowerPoint, to having like tickers or little bits going across the bottom like we've got, or graphics and that kind of stuff. And we're going to go through it step by step to show you how to do it, and we'll try and share the screen. I'm being super brave because I'm literally going to take it from installing the software. So the software is not even installed on the computer we're about to share with you right now. We're going to go through it step by step by step, show you how to build it and help you understand some of the principles behind how the software works. Then we're going to look at some of the particulars. How do we create graphics? Naomi's going to talk to you about kind of the graphical overlays, the lower thirds that we do, that kind of stuff. And then we're also going to look at things like getting guests in, or getting people in to join you live, so you can be like this morning or Loose Women and have your guests all around the screen and chat to people. Or of course, if you watch National Youth Fun Day, which we did with SimFed, we hosted that from here amongst 3 other locations across the country, and again, all of that was broadcast and done on the same software, all free, all accessible, and all hopefully something you'll all feel expertly good at by the end of today. Just a quick couple of hello. Lee's Diocese have popped in as well, sneaking in there at the end. Great to see you. Please do keep any questions or comments into the live chat if you want, particularly if you don't understand something or get something. But again, as I said before, for the last kind of half an hour or so, we'll jump into a kind of a chat room so that we can talk to each other and ask questions and maybe share some of our experiences as well. Okay, let's do this. We're going to go over to this screen share that you can see. So I'm going to pop down to the corner. Hello, I'm just down here. Hopefully you can still hear me and see me. And you can see the website, which is obsproject.com. That's where we access the software from. Download it for your operating system. We're running on a Windows computer today, but it runs on Mac just as well. So again, it's a great piece of software. Once you've got it installed, it's actually quite easy to set up, but there are a few things that come along that can be a bit scary. So I'm going to take it right from the top. When you install the software, it will ask you a few things. It might ask you to download... there you go, you see. Classic example there. It might ask you to download some extra bits of software, particularly something called runtime environments. Let me close these down. That Windows needs. If it asks you to do that you can download them from Microsoft. They are trustworthy. It's not got a virus. It's not got anything wrong with it. It's perfectly safe to use. So please don't worry about that. We've got them installed on ours, and if your computer's up to date running Windows 10, it should be absolutely fine. When it installs, it doesn't take long. You'll be prompted to start the software, and when you start the software, it kind of looks all a bit scary because it's all a bit kind of plain, but I'm going to talk you through each bit. The first bit I'd always recommend you do is click on Optimize for Streaming. You can actually record using OBS, and actually sometimes when we produce videos in our studio, we actually use OBS to record and vision mix live. It saves you having to edit it afterwards. You know, if you want to bring in introductory stings or videos or graphics without having to put them in afterwards in specialist software, you can actually just record it straight to your hard drive rather than uploading it to YouTube or any one of your various services. But for now, we're going to optimize for streaming, and then we'll go next. At the moment, it asks you to look at what your base canvas resolution is. Rule of thumb, really, if you want it to look good, it's got to be in HD, and HD as a minimum is that resolution just there, 1280 by 720p. If you have not got amazing internet, if it's not always that reliable, or you've not got loads of bandwidth, HD is absolutely fine, because a lot of the time people are watching on phones or on little screens or on iPads, so you won't notice the difference. We're going to broadcast today, though, in 1080p, which is full HD, so it's 1920 by 1080. And frame rate, which is frames per second, that means that we're just going to make it onto 30. With all these things, the settings we show you are a balance between looking good and also making the computer work really hard. Because this is by no means a fancy, powerful computer. It's 3 years old. It's a Core i5 8th gen Intel processor, so it's not like a brand spanking new machine. It is very good software, but the more you add, and we're going to show you how to add video feeds and camera feeds and graphics, the more you ask it to do, the more that can then impact on your stream. And it's really important that you kind of have settings that are balanced and that work. So we've got 30 full HD and 30 frames per second. That's all good. It'll then ask you to connect to a service. Now you can connect to pretty much any streaming service. We use YouTube, and so you click on the first one, which is YouTube RTMP, and it will ask you for a stream key. Don't worry about that for now, okay? You can put anything you like in there. I'm just going to put test in there. And where it says video bitrate, this depends on what your resolution is, but realistically, if you're doing it in HD, which is 1280 by 720, 2,500 kilobytes is absolutely fine. We're going to do it in full HD, so you probably need a few more, so we're going to put it in 4,000. I could quite happily, those of you who know me will tell you, I could quite happily go into great detail about what kilobytes per second mean and bit rates mean and all that kind of stuff, but in a nutshell, what it means is the bigger the number, the more the more data it sends per kind of second to YouTube. Now, obviously, the more data it sends, the better your picture quality, and it looks really awesome. But of course, the harder your computer has to work, the better your internet connection has to be. So 2,500 is perfect for HD, 4,000, 4,500 is perfect for full HD. You do not need more than that. You'll never notice more than that. Okay, we're broadcasting at 4,000 today, and it should look nice and sharp and clear on your screens, hopefully. And the last thing is this little box here. This is really important, where it says prefer hardware encoding. If you're using a computer with an Intel processor, the Intel processor's got a very special thing called QuickSync, which will really help this software fly. It's not essential, but it really helps it. So we've got that option, just click Prefer Hardware Encoding, and then click Next. It will give you a preset. You can change all of these later, but you have to go through this on your first time setup. So once you apply settings, you'll then be left with this, and you are here in OBS Studio. And it is a wonderful, wonderful place, because it looks very blank, but it is so easy to make stuff look very full very quickly. So I'm going to talk you through where some of the bits are and how it works, and then we're going to show you how to start building a live stream together. We'll then go over to Naomi, as I said before, to look at bringing some graphics in, and then look at some of the more technical, fancy bits. And again, please just let me know if there's stuff that you want us to focus on. When we ask you to register, I know this particular stuff, like the graphics and the fancy stuff and getting live guests and stuff, was the stuff that people wanted us to focus on. Not so much on like green screening and stuff, and we will touch on that. But please, if there's something that comes out you want me to spend more time on, this is your time, okay? And we're really glad that you're here with us. We've got a couple of more people just say hello. Thank you so much. It's great to see you. Pope John Paul II Award here, fantastic with us. Oh, and hi Sue, good to see you as well. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It is really awesome, just before we get cracking with this, it's so awesome that you guys are here with us today. There's such a lovely collection of people, and we'll talk a little bit later about what the Acutis project is, but in a nutshell, it's a chance for us to try and give you everything we can to help you in what we're doing. We are all playing for the same team. You know, for far too long, we've looked at everything we do as our diocese or our organisation or our group. We're one church, and if anything has grounded us and made us realise that we need each other, it's this time right now. And we should be helping each other wherever we can. There's some amazing stuff happening just the other side of a diocesan boundary that just doesn't get shared, and it really saddens me that we're not really lifting each other up and building each other up. And we've been dead fortunate. We've received some really great funding to fund this project. Means we can offer this and the next series of all these sessions absolutely free. So please tell us what you want and tell us what will be helpful, and we're going to just keep doing it. I say we are 2 days into the Acutis project. This is day 2, and of course things are already changing around us, but thank you for being here. Right, OBS Studio, let's get back to it. The first thing I want you to do when you're here is to switch to studio mode. It might not look massively different. All that's changed is that there's now 2 screens, but we work in studio mode most of the time, mainly because it's easy to visualize what you're doing and how it works. Let me talk you around the screen and show you which bits and what bits mean and where they mean it. In this right-hand window where it says program, okay, that is basically what is being sent to YouTube or to the internet or to anything. On the left-hand side, is where you can queue stuff up, make sure stuff looks all right, adjust things before you send it out. It's kind of like a kind of little preview of what you're about to broadcast. You can do all this live in real time. So, for example, if you've got one camera shot on that right hand and it's out there, you can actually make sure everything's all right, or change a bit of text or write a different thing in the footer before you send it out live, and it enables you to work like that on the fly because, of course, things change. Those of you who watch the National Youth Fund Day broadcast will notice that at times we made a few last-minute changes when things went a little bit wrong, because it will and it does. But it's a really, really, really handy feature to have. Let me just talk you around the piece of software. On the left, you've got two boxes, scenes and sources. You are going to hear me talk about scenes and sources a lot today, because understanding what a scene is and what a source is the key to understanding how to build your own setups and your own pictures and your own kind of arrangements of different feeds. Scenes and sources. So these two boxes are there. This audio mixer shows you the different audio sources you've got at the moment. At the moment, this is picking up the microphone on the top of the computer, because the computer's got its own camera and webcam, so that's just showing you a little live readout. Scene transitions, don't worry too much about that today. We are going to offer another OBS course, which is going to be about like the super advanced kind of ways of doing things, because there's some amazingly complicated stuff you can do with this. But for today, don't worry about that. And then you've got your controls down here. Start streaming, start recording. That's what you'll use when you start sending your stuff to YouTube. Start recording if you just want to record whatever you're making straight to your hard drive so that you can upload it later or put it on social media or Instagram, whatever. And this button here, just a little aside, but this is a really useful feature. This came into OBS about 2 versions ago. Start Virtual Camera enables you to take whatever you've produced in OBS, whatever your stream is, and rather than sending it to YouTube or sending it to your hard drive, to make it appear as a virtual webcam on your computer, so that you can then inject that into a Zoom meeting, a Google Chat meeting, a Hangout, a Microsoft Teams meeting. Whenever I do training courses, I use OBS Studio to bring in my graphics and my PowerPoints and play videos, and then I just inject that into the Zoom meeting that I'm in. You just select OBS Virtual Camera instead of your webcam, and all of a sudden you can look very cool and very amazing, but inside Zoom or inside MS Teams. And I know you guys are using those tools already to reach people, so this is a great way to lift that, because how many times we've been sat in a Zoom meeting or sat in an MS Teams meeting and just been like, oh, it's just the same thing, someone sharing the PowerPoint. We can actually do loads more with that. We can do overlays, we can make us appear there's a tiny person in the corner like we're doing now and talk about stuff. It's really very clever stuff. So that's the virtual camera bit. Settings will bring you back to all that stuff, but also to lots of scary stuff. Ooh, look at all these scary things. So we'll go over all these in a bit about what they mean and about making sure they're all in the right way. Most of the time you don't need to touch anything because it's set up for this kind of stuff, and this is exactly what it's designed for. So let's get cracking. How do we get something ready to output? Well, the first thing you need is a source of media. Okay, now by that I mean either a video feed from a camera, a video feed from a recorded piece of media, so like a video file, an audio file, a picture, a slideshow, a PowerPoint. You can add anything. And if you look down here, when you click on the Add Sources button, it gives you a list of all the things that you can pull into OBS to then manipulate and then output to the internet. So you can bring in audio input, audio output. You can bring in a browser. I use this on training courses as well. You can actually bring in a web browser inside the software so that when you're making, kind of going on websites or bringing up different feeds, it can then show that out live, really handy. Display capture enables you to capture whatever is on one of your monitors. So if, like us, you've got a multi-monitor setup where you've got 2 different monitors, you can actually send whatever is on one monitor to OBS, just like Naomi's going to do in a minute when she shares her monitor when she's working on Photoshop. We've got images, image slideshow, media source, that means video. Scenes, don't worry about that yet. Text, we'll come to that because that's when we get like the scrolling text and all this kind of banner stuff. Video capture device and window capture. So window capture is when you capture a specific program rather than a display if you've got like a little window or something. But again, don't worry too much about it. Where you really want to focus right now is on video capture device. So the first thing we're going to do is add a source and add a video capture device. Now, if you're on a laptop, you will already have a video capture device built in. It's be just above your screen. It's be your webcam, and you can use that as a source. In fact, we did a really cool event at a cathedral one time where we had a big main camera shooting the altar so that you could see the mass and see what was going on. But then we also had the little webcam in the corner where someone was providing commentary over the mass for the people watching. So we used both cameras, the internal camera and an external camera connected, which was really handy. Now we use SLR cameras. Naomi, if you just bring up the studio again, just so you can see what's going on. So we've got an SLR here. We've got a couple of webcams knocking around as well. We've got the big studio cam webcam in the corner. It's like a fisheye lens. Hi, how you doing? To connect your SLR camera, so your proper ones, if you've got a fancy one, you do need a bit of hardware in between that, so we'll go through a kit list in a bit, but again, it's just plug and play. But for now, we're going to use just a little webcam, and the webcam we'd always recommend is the Logitech C920, which is what we've got on top of here. It's what Naomi's got on top of there. They used to be able to get it for about 25 quid off Amazon on a good day with a sale, but then all of a sudden everyone started working from home. Now they're about 90 quid, but I'd still argue they are worth it. They give you a full HD source, that's 1920 by 1080p pixels. Colour and lighting is all done automatically, and what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the little one that I've got sat on top of this camera. I've got perched on top of here. We're going to bring that in as our first video feed. So we're going to go back to the full screen, and you'll see where it says create new, it says video capture device. You might want to start naming your stuff. It really does help to start naming your sources so that when you come back to edit stuff, you've got a reminder of what they are. But create a new webcam. Here we go. Create a new webcam, and then we go OK, and now here it will give you an option. At the moment you'll notice that it's pulling in the camera above my screen, so it says hello. I can see that, but also in my list now I've now also got this one, which is the Logitech C920 Pro, which is just there. Sometimes, as you'll notice, it's not giving me a widescreen, it's giving me a kind of a narrow boxed version. Okay, so down here where it says resolution, click on custom, and we're going to go for 1920 by 1080. And then all of a sudden we've got a nice widescreen picture. And you'll notice in the preview window now, we've now got my window, my first source, okay? And what I'd do now is over here, I'd go over to our scenes. Remember I said I talk about scenes and sources a lot. Sources are all of your different media elements, pictures, images, text, all that kind of stuff. A scene is a collection of sources. So, for example, as you're watching right now, if you look at the image you can see on your screen, there are 3 different sources on screen right now. So one of the sources is that background image that we've got. One of the sources is my little camera in the corner where I'm waving, hello. And one of the sources is a window capture of the computer that I'm working on. So there's 3 sources all arranged into a scene, and that scene is what we're now projecting out to you. So I'm going to call this scene something like my main cam scene, because that's just me on my main cam. Hello, marvellous. And you'll notice if I click on this transition button here, I'm now on the program window because that's what's being outputted. Fantastic. Thing is though, how do we lift that? Because this is no different to just putting your webcam out on YouTube. Well, the first thing we start to do is to add graphics, or to add lower thirds, for example. So if we come back over here, we'll see in our main cam scene, we can now add something else. So I'm going to add an image. Now, I'm going to look for an image. I'm going to call it image. I'm going to go browse on my computer, downloads. Okay, so we've got a little footer image here. Okay, so if I bring this in now, you'll notice that we've now got this really cool little graphic here. I'm going to put just there, and I can arrange it on top of there. All of a sudden, I've got this kind of nice kind of graphic at the bottom. Again, they're called lower thirds. If you're searching for stuff, because trust me, there is so much free stuff out there. You just Google YouTube lower thirds templates and there will be loads of them out there. Animated ones that pop in, ones that jump up, all sorts of things. But for now, we've just got an image and it looks really nice. And you'll notice that it's only in my preview window and not in my program window. That's because I've not made it live yet. Like I said, remember, you can edit this and change stuff as you're broadcasting. If I transition over, you'll see, fantastic. I've now got me and this cool little line at the bottom. Fantastic. I might also want to put some text at the bottom. So again, I'm going to add another source because text is a source. So I'll go back to my main camera scene and I'm going to add, and I'm going to add text this time. And this is going to be my message. I'm going to call this little message I want to put out. You want to see, hello everyone. Very exciting. Might select a font that's more exciting than Arial, which is not difficult. Let's have a look at something like this. Oh, classy, nice one. Okay, so I've got this nice little bit of text up there. I'm going to put it okay, and you'll notice now that I've got this in this box, and I've also got these red handles around it. Those handles are used for resizing and for reframing, so I can make it a bit bigger, I can make it a bit smaller. I might just want to pop it down there, and then all of a sudden I've got, hello everybody. One of the things that people then always ask us is how do you make these kind of things move? How do you kind of move them along? And whilst I was going to come to it later, whilst I'm here, I might as well show you very quickly. Just there, if you go, we've got hello everyone, got our text selected. All we need to do is apply a filter. Now, I know we've talked sources and scenes, but filters are things that apply effects or changes to different sources. So all of your sources can then have filters on top of them. I know there's lots of terms and phrases coming at you, and I promise you the easiest way is just to get cracking with it when you get a chance. All this stuff's free, like I said, so when you finish this, even if you're watching along right now, it's to start chipping away at it and learning it. So apply a filter up here. We've got a number of different filters available for text, and again that little plus button, what we're going to do is add a scroll, and we'll call it scroll, and then you can change the horizontal speed, and all of a sudden it now rotates round. I mean, you can of course have a vertical scroll as well, so it goes up like that. I mean, you can even have a horizontal and vertical scroll, so it goes diagonally. Very exciting. But we're going to just going to stick with a horizontal scroll because that's normally what we have. Let's put that there. Marvellous. You'll now notice my text is moving, and I've now got it looping round, and I can position that anywhere I like. I can make that a bit bigger. I might just have hello everyone, hello. And again, what I hope you're starting to see is that there are really no limits to what you can start to put on or start to make or start to kind of make appear. Again, putting it on there, appears on my right hand screen. Now you might be asking, well, surely you're not just going to add stuff as you're going along, as you're broadcasting. This is where scenes come into it, because you can create scenes that have got lots of different setups, lots of different camera angles, and switch them literally at the push of a button. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new scene. So I'm going to duplicate this. I sometimes find it easy to duplicate a scene if I'm only going to edit a little bit of it. Saves you having to redo everything from scratch, keeps everything consistent as well. So if I'm going to put this, I'm going to put different angle in this one. Marvellous. Now, I'm selected this scene. What I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in another source. So I'm going to bring in, this time, video capture device. So it's going to be the laptop cam, which I'm going to bring in. And I'm going to bring in this webcam just here. That's already set up fine. It's already okay. I'm going to click OK. Marvellous. I'm just going to bring that over here. With your sources, it works in layers, so whatever is the top source will be displayed first. So you notice at the moment, because my laptop cam is above everything, I can't see my ticker, can't see my words, can't see my bottom bit, so I'm going to move it down slightly, and then all of a sudden I've got that back. Now what we've got here is we've got two different camera angles. So if I transition from here, I've got this camera here, hello, good to see you, and then go back to this camera here, hello, good to see you. And what I can do then, simply by switching between the two cameras, is change camera angles. Now, of course, if you're doing a live event or a liturgy, for example, two webcams, because again, you can have 3 or 4 of these Logitech cameras set up, one pointing at the altar, one pointing at the lectern, one being all wide. All of a sudden, you can very easily switch between the different views and make them into something that looks a lot more like a broadcast. You know, when the readings happen, cut to the lectern. When it's the Eucharistic prayer, cut to the altar. But here's what, of course, you can do. If we take the different angle one, and I duplicate this one again, and we call this split screen. Now, of course, all those sources are there. My thing there. If I go to just turn this one down, I can start to have both feeds in the same window. Which is where things get really interesting. So, for example, in a bit when we show you how to bring live guests in, this is where you can have them appear like they do on BBC News in the corner. We like talking to them. Oh yes, hello. And obviously that's got both camera angles in now. So I've got my split screen. I've got my different angle, and I've also got my main camera, which is straight on. There you go, along with my ticker and stuff. If at any point you want to alter stuff, sometimes the easiest way is just to use this little I button. It makes it invisible if you want to clean things up or experiment. But what you want to start building is a collection of scenes that have got everything arranged as you want them to do, all using a similar set of sources. I'm going to go through a couple more sources before we kind of jump over to Naomi to have a look at the graphics, because what I haven't shown you is how to bring kind of video or image files in. So, for example, I'm on my main cam. If I wanted to bring a video or a little picture up on this side of me, just here, what I might do, duplicate this one. I'll call this picture overlay, like this. And again, I'm going to add a source again, but this time I'm adding an image. If I go to add an image, call this on image 2, that's fine. We're going to browse. We're going to find this one just here. A lovely picture of socially distanced youth ministry. It's what we all want at the moment, isn't it? So we'll pop that up there, and we'll dive it into the corner. There we go. So I've got my nice little image in the corner now. And of course, what I'm doing, of course, if you look at the program window, that's what everyone's seeing at the moment. So everyone's just seeing me chatting away, and I might be like, yes, and of course that was the bit we went and worked in a tent and did some social distance youth ministry. Click transition, and all of a sudden a picture appears, and I'm like, ooh, that looks good, doesn't it? Now, again, you'll be thinking of possibilities as you're watching this, but with that, we use that kind of overlay to bring in the words for mass, for example, or to bring in reflections or work that young people have done. And again, dead easy to bring an image in, but of course I've now got 4 scenes, which is really good. And I suppose this is probably a good time to talk about a really easy way to switch between the scenes. Because at the moment, you can see me going over, moving the mouse, kind of clicking on that, getting it in there, clicking transition, there we go, fantastic, marvellous. But there is actually a much more straightforward way, and it goes to the settings. In the settings, you'll see the hotkeys. Now, hotkeys give you an opportunity to assign a key for every single possible permutation you could want from OBS. And if you look at things like, let's have a look at main cam, for example, you'll see switch to scene. So I might want to put number 1 on that one. Picture overlay, number 2. Split screen, I'm going to call number 3. And what else have we got? Split screen and split screen number 3. Oh, on different angle, number 4. Lovely. Okay. And the only other thing you need to set on is what is for transition. So I'm going to set that as something like right square bracket. Just something I'm not going to use. I've made this mistake so many times where I've set them as letters before and then been trying to type in the live chat on a YouTube thing and then not realise I'm transitioning and making things go all sorts of crazy on the screen. So once I've assigned those keys, it now gives you the opportunity to simply change the scenes just by clicking on the numbers. I mean, it's not very easy to see because you can't see my hand, but just by pressing number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, I can jump between the scenes. And when I've got the one I want lined up, I just click my transition button and then it pops over. And it makes it a whole lot easier when you're running a live stream. As today is, I mean, if you put the big studio camera back on, again, Naomi is running this stream from that computer over there. So on her screen, she's also running OBS, which is running a picture of my OBS. It's all very complicated. But it means that Naomi is switching between different scenes. For example, we've got a nice screen where there's both of us on side by side. So if we put that one on, and clicks that screen, and then all of a sudden we can touch with it. Like, hello.
Yay.
Yeah, it's great. It's marvellous. Okay, so exactly. So again, I know we're in the same room and it's not that exciting, but again, it gives you an idea. In a moment, we're going to switch to Naomi's screen capture, so she's capturing another window, so you get to see that in a minute as well. And then once we've done that, we're going to come back and show you how to bring videos in and things like stings and animations. But so far, I'm just going to nip back to the live chat. Are there any questions about anything at all? Chris from the High Peak is here. He's excited to be with you. I'm excited to be with you. Very much so. Very much so. And honestly, it's great to have you here. What are we doing numbers-wise, Naomi? How are you doing?
32. I'm 32 committed viewers. Like, we've been at 32.
Solid commitment.
Community going on here.
That is awesome.
So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
What we got? Any? A few likes as well. That's all good.
Subscribe as well, don't they?
Oh, definitely.
It's DM to plug that, but
definitely.
there's nothing like a mid-video subscription, is there?
No, do you know what? If you want to subscribe, hit that subscribe button. It's a brand new YouTube channel. It's only a day old, literally a day old. So, right, Naomi, let's get on the split screen again because I think it's probably worth us having a bit of a chat about things. Yeah. It's really weird because it looks like we're talking to each other, but I can just see the back of your head. But
it's really rude.
It's all good. I'm over here. I'm in the corner. So, graphics are really kind of a really big deal, I think, really, in terms of lifting things. You do a lot of our social media posts, a lot of our... What would you say are some of the kind of key things to kind of think about when making graphics and using graphics?
I think I said this earlier to you, didn't I? I think a good graphic is great. A bad graphic is worse than no graphics. Like, either have good graphics or don't. But it's really easy to have good graphics. I'm not trying to say that to scare people off, because it's so easy to have great ones. I think a few practical things to remember, like the file format, which we'll go through later. Making it clear. Like, I know sometimes if you're going to have the scroll and ticker, making sure people can see that, because if you're using like black and white colours, if your text is black and white, it's difficult to see. So clarity, file format, and fun.
Yeah, it's got to look good. The other thing that gets me as well, just this is a pet hate of mine, aspect ratio.
Oh,
you know when stuff is like squeezed or squashed or stretched when it shouldn't be that way. Yeah. Gets me every time.
That's fine.
Yeah, but anyway, we're going to talk about making a lower third, aren't we? Because you talked about file formats, and that's really important, because we have to use a special type of file in order to get what's called a transparency, which is what enables us to put stuff on top of each other and have bits showing through. So talk us through a lower third, and we'll hand over to you over on your screen.
Thank you.
No worries.
Cool. Lower thirds. Yes, we should have a quiz. See what like a lower third means. Why? How did it get its name? But it is just because it's in the lower third of the screen. So you can see my screen here. I'm using Photoshop. You don't have to use Photoshop. You could use something like Canva, because I know Canva do a great like package where you can make PNGs, which is first keyword of lower thirds. So PNG is the file format in which you need to save anything that's going to go on with a transparent background. So if you save it as a JPEG, it'll look lovely, but it will have a white background, which is sometimes not ideal, especially if you're doing something that's a circle, for example, or the lower third that's got kind of angle on it. So if you've got Photoshop here, or whatever you're using, just make sure you've got your dimensions correct. So Photoshop do some lovely pre-saved dimensions, document presets. So you want to select 1920 by 1080, which is the size, the dimensions of like an HD screen. So just click that, and then it'll open you a lovely thing. And you've got your base layer there. So what we're doing next is you just need to unlock that. Click OK, double click on it, OK. And imagine this box here is your like computer screen, your YouTube screen, or your scene on OBS. And if I were to make a lower third, I could pick a funky colour. You can pick the colour after, but I've realised it's easier just to pick the colour before. And then at the lower third, it also does these really great guides, which I suppose give you a lot of guidance as to where your lower third should be. Because if you put your lower third up here, it's going to cut off a lot of the people. So that's a great way to just put it there, maybe up to the top line. So you've got a lovely green banner there. And maybe I want to put in my like organisational logo. So let's go to... there we'll put the... Oh, I don't want to open it just to look at it in case you haven't seen it before. That's our logo. And in Photoshop you just need to drag... The great thing about the aspect ratio that Tom just mentioned is on Photoshop you don't need to do anything to make the aspect ratio stay the same. Whereas in other programs like Illustrator you have to hold down Shift. You don't have to do it in there, which is great because you can't make a mistake. Which is never a bad thing, is it? So you could put it there. On YouTube, you can also set YouTube up so that your logo would automatically appear down here. But if you don't, you could just put it there in the corner so it's not getting in the way of anything. You don't need to put the text on because, as Tom said, you can put the scrolling text on, the little ticker. So next step is, because currently we've got a white background, so if you were to export this and put it into OBS, you would just cover up all the video. It'd just be a white screen with a lovely green and logo branded ticker. Lower third. So you need to go back over to your layers. You can see you've got your logo layer, which is that. You've got your rectangle, which is the green rectangle. Then you've got layer 0, and just delete layer 0, and then you get this lovely like chessboard kind of thing, which means there's nothing there. It's transparent. That's that. Then you're just gonna need to export it. Export as. You don't want to do that. No. You want to save as. Yeah.
It'd be
That was a
easy to
trick
say
question. You need to save as. It's always a bit of a different language in different programs, but whatever you use, you'll be used to it. You can even export. I think you can even export from like PowerPoint and stuff as a PNG. So if you haven't got any software, this is so easy to do. As long as you export as a PNG and have the dimensions, you can't go wrong. So I just save as my computer, lower third, and then save, and then you've got that file in your files, and you'd put it into OBS. I won't put it into OBS because, as Tom said, I'm using OBS on this computer to stream to you guys. But Tom, have you got any questions on that? Have I skipped over anything?
No,
or put us both back on?
that's. I mean, the key for graphics is it's got to have a purpose and a meaning. You know, I think lower thirds really lift it and give you that professional feel, and particularly when you get the kind of text going, it's a great chance we had the prayer intention, for example, on National Youth Fund Day. That was really cool, and that was dead nice to be able to do that. Yeah. But of course you can have frames, you could have little things in the corner. We tend to try and colour things liturgically to make sure that, a lot of our media that went out during Advent was, of course, was purple. Little things like that. We can and will in future show you how to do fancy things using overlaid images and different transparencies, because you can kind of sandwich different video feeds in different bits. We, for example, when we have our live guests on our Monday morning show, we've got a graphic which is transparent but kind of has a frame which then appears around the picture but not around the so there's lots of stuff you can do with it, but the principle is the same. The video will show through that transparent area, and again, that making a lower third is as simple as just knocking that background out, and that PNG, portable network graphic, is the format that will enable you to do that with the transparency. So yeah, thank you very much. It's very much appreciated. Now we've got some questions, some really good questions in here, which I said I would come back to, and they are fantastic. So James, do all the sources need to be on the computer? Yes. Pretty much. Okay, so everything needs to be connected to the computer you're running off. If you're playing a video file, that needs to be downloaded onto the hard drive of the computer. You can't just, well, you can technically, but it doesn't work very well. You can't really just plug a YouTube video off of YouTube in and play it. There are plenty of ways of downloading videos from YouTube. Some are very legal, some are not. But as long as you obtain the right kind of permissions and you've got the right thing, the right kind of ability to use copyright material, or if you're making videos anywhere, they need to be saved into the hard drive of your computer. As with audio files and video files, I remember we had a nightmare once where we didn't realise something was saved on a network share on a cloud drive, for example, and it was fine when the internet was up, but when we were doing something, it went down, and then all of a sudden that video file didn't exist. So it's really, really good practice to have folders for your particular. So on this computer, for example, we've got loads of folders. We've just got the school's mass that we did, and in it, it's got the frames, it's got the lower thirds, the graphics, it's got the words for that particular mass, the readings, the hymns, all in one directory, just so it's really easy to find. But yes, they do need to be on the same computer. Mike, how do you overcome the 30-minute recording limit on your DSLR? Great question. You overcome it by not recording. So what we're using on our DSLR is we're using the HDMI out. Now, not every DSLR has a HDMI out, but because you are not recording, and it's not the reason they have a timeout is because they overheat, because they don't have enough heat dissipation on DSLRs. That's why they stop it burning the insides out. But because you're not recording and simply just outputting it via a feed, a DSLR, as long as you've got your auto timeout set to off, will just stay on as long as you've got a constant power source. Now, we had this issue, the Westminster Diocese did an amazing job when they were doing National Youth Fund Day, because they didn't have a mains adapter for their SLR. We've got all of our cameras attached to the mains, so they've got a constant power source. They had batteries, and they were literally waiting till the video was on, swapping out a battery, coming off the camera, putting a battery in. It was seamless, you never noticed. But yeah, that's how you overcome the limit, by using a HDMI out. And maybe this is probably a good time, because there's a few technical questions here to go through some of the kit lists and some of the hardware stuff. And if, e.g., if one of the sources is a webcam somewhere else. Now, there's two ways of interpreting that. You could have that webcam in a different room, but it would need to be physically connected to that computer, so by a crazy long USB cable. Or there are ways of bringing remote cameras in, because of course, if you watch National Youth Fund Day, you'll know we had 3 live streams in full HD from 3 different parts of the country in one OBS stream. That is a very kind of complicated process. It uses a whole different bit of software called OBS Ninja, which we'll definitely put on the list for a tutorial, because it's probably a bit too complicated to go through now. But for the most part, yes, if you want to do straightforward streaming from your location, everything needs to be physically wired in to your computer. brilliant questions, though. Absolutely brilliant questions. Let's switch to the studio cam, and I'll talk you through the kit list that we've got in here. It's probably the most important kit we've got at the moment is our Perspex screening, which we've tried to line up with the camera, so you can't really see it when we're on thing, although I think it's kind of fallen over. Yeah, kind of. So that's probably a really important bit of kit. But so what we use 2 key lights, which are these. These are LED light panels. They are about 50 quid each off of Amazon. You can buy LED light panels 10 a penny. But one thing I'd recommend you getting is an LED light panel that has temperature control. I don't mean like the kind of heat temperature. On the back of these, you can adjust the warmth of the light. If you've ever done photography and stuff, you'll know what I mean by warmth, but it makes it kind of more yellowy, basically, or kind of more cooler or more bluey. It's really good to making sure you don't look washed out from your skin tone. So if you can find something that's got colour temperature, it's usually between 3,500 Kelvin and 6,500 Kelvin. That's daylight to warm light. But again, 50 quid on Amazon. We use 2 of these to eliminate shadows, make sure we're nicely lit, and that's all the lighting we use. The camera's right bang in the middle, and it kind of just is a nice general feel. You can get all sorts of fancy lights, but these 2 do the job just right for us. In terms of sound, we use the Rode Video Micro, which is a tiny little kind of boom mic. We've got it on this little arm here. You probably can't see this little boom arm here, so we can get it nice and close to us. The closer you can get it to your audio source, the better, because the quality's higher. One thing I'd also recommend, if you can get your hands on them, they're a little bit more expensive, but they're worth it. These are Rode Video Mic Go's, not Video Micro, Video Mic Go. Someone in their branding department did a great job with that. But literally that is an entire wireless mic receiver, and this is an entire wireless mic. The mic is even built in. You literally just put them on here, on your lapel, you plug that end into your computer and you've got a wireless mic. They're awesome. They are about 180 quid for a set, so not cheap. But you know what, if you're doing a liturgy every other day and actually you want to make sure the priest or celebrant can be heard, or you guys, they are a really good investment, because sound is one of the big things that can get in the way of making people, kind of helping people engage with your live stream. In terms of camera then, like I said before, we use DSLR. The DSLR that we use is the Canon 250D. Number of reasons. One, it's relatively cheap, and by DSLR standards that means kind of it's about 500 quid, but it's designed for vlogging, so it's got a couple of things that make it really useful. One is an articulating screen, so that you can flip it around and see yourself in the screen when you're talking to it. The other is it's got a separate microphone in, so that enables us to connect a really high quality microphone, so that it gives us that better sound quality. So we use a Canon 250D. I'd highly recommend it, but there are plenty of others. Sony do some fantastic video cameras, and Nikon as well. The good thing with Canon, they're probably one of the most popular brands. There's lots of different lenses out there, lots of different accessories out there for them. Webcams, like I said, it's the Logitech C920s. We use them all over the shop because they're a really good way of adding a high quality HD feed. And I suppose the key bit of thing is just actually on the floor now, because we've kind of got a kind of a patched together setup today. There's a little thing in between on that cable, the Camlink 4K Pro. So that little box there is the Elgato Camlink 4K Pro. That is what connects the HDMI out of a SLR to the USB connection on a laptop. This is very important. You can't just plug an SLR in via USB straight in, usually, to a laptop. You can with some, but most you need something called like a capture card. There is also, though, the slightly cheaper version, which we've got somewhere as well. Whereas, and we'll put links to all this in the description and stuff. It's probably hidden somewhere. There's a tiny little dongle somewhere, probably behind the screen. It might be. Yeah. So we've got like a little cheaper version that was £18 off Amazon, which is almost just as good as the Elgato one, which is about £60 to £70. Either one of them will work. The Elgato stuff is really good quality and really hard to find at the moment, but it's great. Elgato Camlink 4K. It also means you can do it in 4K, but I would never recommend that because it's just way too much processing power required to kind of make all that work. Other than that, kit list wise, on our computer, like I said, it's just a bog standard laptop, and there's nothing really too magical or powerful about it. OBS is very good at working on kind of quite low powered hardware. But you will notice, and if you switch back to OBS actually, because we're going to go and delve into a few more advanced things, you'll notice down here there is actually a little readout which says CPU. At the moment, my CPU, or the processor, is working at 7%. That's fine. Anything under about 30 or 40%, and you're not going to have an issue. When you start adding videos or movie files or stuff, and it's all of a sudden creeping to 60, 70%, that's when you're going to struggle. You're going to drop frames, things are going to look patchy, your sound's going to cut out. So again, it gives you a really good indication of how hard your computer's having to work to kind of make everything happen. And again, Intel processors work really well with OBS because they've got something that offloads a lot of the processing for the video and makes it run a lot smoother. Here we go. Okay, so do you have the guest? Is anyone hearing a crackly sound? Yes, but a little bit. It isn't finished in the main audio. Okay, thank you very much. You see, a classic example of trying to patch 6 different cameras in to one crazy combination. The reason it's probably a bit crackly is because we're trying to cut out the feedback caused by having microphones all in the same room, but so you can hear us. So apologies, but hopefully you can do that. In church, how would you get the audio mixer for the readers and the priest to the computer along with the cameras? Great question. So your camera, your computer will probably have a microphone in, and in your OBS setup, you can actually bring in your microphone in as a source. So in here, if you go add source, you'll notice audio input capture is also there. So you'd probably take a line out of the back of your mixer, your church mixer, and I know many churches that do it exactly like this, into audio input capture, and then you would find your microphone, which for this one you'll see my microphone array there is the one on this computer, but you would have a microphone setting. If you've got more than one audio feed, you can buy a really kind of cheap USB sound card with a couple of different inputs. Again, they're 10-15 quid on Amazon, but you would bring it in as an audio source underneath your video source, and it does get a bit more complicated when you're bringing in audio separately to video, and you can have them being out of sync sometimes, which I'll show you how to rectify that in a minute, but that's how you do it. How do you have the guest? Okay, I mean that's what we're going to go to next. We're going to get in our live guests. So there's a number of ways to do this. I suppose the easiest way is just to use a kind of window capture and just to actually have Google Meet or Zoom open, ideally on another monitor, so that you can kind of have them separate, and then you can bring in your guest and bring them in as a source. So I'm going to try and get some of our team in now as a live guest for you. So let's head over to our chat room. I mean, if anyone's feeling brave, I know you guys have been sent the link for today of the chat room. I'm going to go into that chat room now, and we can there we go. Bring that up. Marvellous. Okay, cool. So at the moment, I'm just in this chat room. No one else is there at the moment. And Naomi, maybe if we message the team across and just say actually someone to pop into the room so we can bring in our live guests. I'll show you how to capture this window and bring it into OBS so that you can have that kind of like live guest approach. It's something that we obviously use on National Youth Fun Day, which was a really nice thing. It really lifts the whole kind of presentation, having someone live and being able to converse with them live as well. Let's have a look down here. So first things first, in here I'm going to go back to my main cam. I'm going to duplicate that again because I'm going to make my live guest scene now. And on here, I'm going to bring in one thing we've not looked at before, which is window capture. Now, if I go to window capture, I'm going to call this chat, just because it's my chat window. And you'll notice it gives me a collection of all the open windows. So it might be a Windows folder, but you'll notice it's got Chrome just there, and it's got my meeting just there, and it's got my capture methods automatic. That's all absolutely fine. Click OK. You'll now notice that this window is a source that I can now play around with and position in my chat window. So I might make myself a little smaller. Just so we're going over here, might bring that down there. Just so we're looking real cool. And hopefully what will happen is someone will log in, one of our team will log into that room. If not, if anyone's feeling brave and they want to be live on the interwebs with everyone, you can dive into that chat room yourself. But it's, let's have a look there now. Oh, hello, the team have arrived. Marvellous. Now, with most of the things, you can, with most of the software, you can pin one particular person to the screen, which is what we tend to do, bringing the people in. So we've got these guys up here. They're looking great. If I now go back, you'll see that we've got that. There we go. Hi, looking good. Okay, so that window's being captured now, and you can see now in OBS that window's being captured. It's a nice little source just there, and they can see in here. So if I transition over, I've now got my live guest talking to us. This is where it can get a bit complicated, so stay with me on this one. My guests can't see me because my camera is being used for OBS, if that makes sense. So what you can do is actually start virtual camera, go back to your chat software and go to your settings, and you'll now, and this is the same for Zoom, same for Microsoft Teams, whatever, you'll now notice that if OBS virtual camera is selected, they will then be able to see themselves back. So now if I just do that so we can see both tiles together, you'll see that they are now seeing the reflection of them back, so they can see what's going on and interact with you a bit better, which is really nice. And everyone's there saying hi. Say hi, guys. Marvellous. Just turn the speakers up a tiny bit, Naomi. Now again, with the sound, you guys can hear me okay, am I right?
Yeah.
Marvellous. And hopefully you guys should be able to hear them okay as well, I think. It's a bit complicated because obviously we're screen sharing an output of another output through another output, so it's not quite as it would be normally. But what you need to figure out a way of doing is making sure that you can hear the people you're speaking to without their audio coming back through the microphone. So a really kind of simple, hacky way of doing that is making sure you've got a speaker behind your microphone that's not on very loud, but just loud enough for you to hear it, so that it doesn't kind of affect things. So I can hear these guys. And are you watching okay? Everything going okay for you guys?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Marv, I'm just glad to hear it, Luke. It's very kind of you. With your live guest then, you can of course then, with this one, I would always make a version of that just had them full screen. So I usually call it live guest full, because at times if they're speaking or if they're going to start going on about something, you're probably going to want to make them full screen. So now I've got this one, little transform window there, fit to screen, marvellous. Might make it a little bit bigger just so it fills the screen. There we go. And of course now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to get these guys pinned to the screen so it's just their beautiful faces. Marvellous. Okay, so now you can see I've got them full screen as a source, but again you'll notice that I put my chat window above my image, so I'm going to put it just below the image and webcam. I've got the nice little footer back. Might have to adjust their positioning now because they are a little bit too low. So we'll bring them up a bit. Marvellous. Oh, there they are, looking good. And so I can go from, if you look at my program window, I can go from the one when I'm chatting to them going, hey guys, how you doing? And then they can go, well, I'm doing fine. And then they can talk in depth about their opinions on the use of social media in evangelising young people in the 21st century. Go.
Yes. Amazing.
Yeah, you get the idea. So that's kind of how it works, which is brilliant. Great job, guys. And of course, then you can switch back if you're then interviewing them and have them. But it's all about bringing in a window capture as a source. Again, one thing that makes this a million times easier is having two monitors. And if you just flip to our studio setup again, Naomi, you'll see that we've got our main monitor just here. We have a second monitor just here. We're not using that today because it's being used to screen share this with you guys so you can see what I'm doing. But usually I'd have my chat people on here. Another reason I have my chat people kind of underneath the camera is the temptation is always to look at the screen they're on, which often means then if you look at this that I'm looking off camera, it looks a bit weird. So you have to kind of get used to, and this is just practice, looking down the camera, speaking at someone who's not looking at you and you're not looking at them, but it looks to the people watching like you're speaking to the camera, but speaking to them like you're on the news. I'm sure you can get super fancy stuff though, so the screen is right above the camera, it looks very natural, but the key thing to remember is always speak right down the lens. That's really, really important. And that's kind of how you bring live guests in. You use a window capture of any chat software. You'll notice though as well, I suppose this is a quick kind of little thing to notice, that I've got all that bit at the top. All that white bit at the top, my address bar and stuff like that, that doesn't look very professional. So again, with any video source, we can apply a filter. So if I go and apply a filter here, we want to use the crop pad filter, really useful for trimming bits off, particularly of a window capture, to make sure you're just getting the bit that you want. So I've got my crop pad filter here, and then of course from the top I can take off maybe 200 pixels, and all of a sudden it looks a lot better because it's just these guys. I've got that maybe 250 maybe, just to get rid of that. There we go. I might need to bring a bit off the right, and a bit off the left, just to keep it in perspective. There we go. But then we've got, if I go back to my live guest scene, reposition now because it's all a bit smaller. And then go like that. Marvellous. We've now got a much nicer window, none of that address bar because we managed to crop it out. And again, you can arrange that however you like. Pretty much the same way me and Naomi are doing what we're doing over there with our split screen. And it was exactly the way we got live guests in on National Youth Fun Day. I know some of you guys were in fact the live guests on National Youth Fun Day. I know Kimberly, you guys joined us as well. And that's how we did it. We literally got you into a chat room and then brought you in. What you can do as well with the chat room is you can have more than one person in it. We did a mass for a multi-academy trust of 16 schools, and they wanted every one of the 16 schools to have a part in mass. And I was like, thanks, that's really straightforward. But what was really good is that we had all 16 schools waiting in the chat room, and using very simply the pin function, I was able to have all my people down the side. I just selected who I wanted in, went on it, and then pinned them to the screen. And then brought them live, and I even had the bishop in there as well. The benefit of that is the bishop was also celebrating mass remotely, and was able then to see the people doing the readings and the prayers and stuff like that. So, that's kind of how you do it. It's a bit of a cheating way, really, but it's the most effective way we've found. I suppose one thing to really talk about though is, and going back to this, is the audio. It can be really difficult to capture the audio properly. So if you're capturing a window, it might not capture the sound from that window. It might just capture the sound from the computer. And you'll notice down here on the audio mixer, there are 3 different bars at the moment. So I said we've got that microphone auxiliary. That's the microphone on top of the laptop. We don't need that one on. We've got the desktop audio. That is any sound the computer's playing, which can be really useful sometimes and really annoying sometimes if you get that kind of feedback because you've got people speaking out of the microphone, speaking out the speaker, and then getting back into the microphone. And I've also got the audio coming off my webcam as well, which I've not got set up at the moment. But one thing I found works really well to make sure that kind of, I suppose, guests aren't speaking in the background, if they're waiting in the chat room, it isn't being broadcast out, is to bring in their video and audio separately. So for example, on the chat window, just here, we've got all that's bringing in the picture, that's great. But what we can do is then we can add another source, which is an audio output capture. So rather than a source going into your computer, it will capture sound going out of your computer. So if you select audio output capture, and this is what we do with guests, you can select anything going to the speakers, which is the one that we're hearing the chat message on, as a source, and put that in there. And once that's in there, that kind of audio output capture, you can make sure it's only in the scenes that have got your guests. And that way, you're not going to have the issue of their sound coming through or being there when their scene isn't active, because all those audio things don't appear until you transition over, and then all of a sudden we've now got our audio output capture there for us to capture their audio. So we're doing really well. I'm going to just nip back into the chat room. We are on 2 o'clock, people. We're going to take a little break just for you guys, like a 5-minute comfort break, and then we're going to come back and look at the last kind of few bits, and then go into the Q&A and the chat room for the last bit. But just to have a look, Hype Chaplain, can you connect iPads, tablets as video capture devices? Not usually is the answer. Sadly, mainly because they don't output their camera feed via the lightning connector very easily. You can get apps that will act as an intermediary and then get a lightning to HDMI connector and then get a HDMI to USB adapter, like we're bringing the XLR in, but it's not very easy. One of the easiest ways we found to actually connect an iPad to make it mobile is to get them to dial in to a chat room. So we've had our team out on location simply using their mobile phones as the location camera, but again using the chat room kind of method by capturing the window and capturing that and bringing that back. So could it be Zoom or similar? Absolutely could be Zoom or similar. Any kind of chat software it will work, because what you're doing is simply bringing it onto your computer and capturing the stuff that's happening on your computer. Okay, that's a really good question. Quickly, I've got remember I haven't showed you how to bring a video in as well. If you want your video to come in, we're on the main camera here. So like I wanted the video to play like a little sting or a little animation or something like that. Let's create a duplicate of that one again. Call this video 1. There we go. All we do now to this scene is we add a media source. So for media source, we're going to just call it a media source. We're going to go and browse and have a look. I don't think I've actually downloaded the video source yet. Let's bring that one up. Let's go and get the one from today. Okay, so we've got a nice little sting that Naomi made this morning. So we're just going to download that. Marvellous. So, my little Sting video file's there. It's an MP4 file. Always recommend using MP4. If you're using something like an AVI or a big video file, the bigger the file, the harder the computer has to work, the less reliable the playback will be. And I click open. One thing you don't want to click is loop. You want to click close when inactive, and you want to also make sure you click use hardware decoding where available. Again, just takes the pressure off the computer, makes sure it's more reliable. Once you click OK, you'll notice that nothing actually happens. The media source won't start playing until it's transitioned into the program window. So when I click transition, the little sting will play. Ooh, nice. Bing. Oh, it's very fancy. I know you did a good job there. That's really good. So yeah, and you'll notice then, of course, it jumps back to me. And this is something it took us a long time to figure out, because we were making a scene with just the video file in. We were switching to it, and I'll show you what happened if we do that. So let's just duplicate that. So if you've just got a scene that's just got your media source in, it will play. Fantastic. Oh, I won't, sorry. It will play when it goes through, but after it finishes, it will disappear. But because it's got nothing to disappear to, it will then just leave you with a blank screen. Now, that can be really useful if you're finishing your broadcast, but if you're not, the way I always overcome that is use your main camera or the shot you want to go back to after your video, put that underneath your video, as we've done in video 1, and you'll notice then that when we play the media source, it will... let me get rid of that one. It will then just default and jump back to that main shot that we had before. The one thing you've got to do is watch out and be ready for it, though, because there's been plenty of times where I've just been sat there, like, just checking people and reading the live chat or whatever, and the video's finished. Like, oh, hey guys, how you doing? So yeah, you just make sure you kind of watch out on that, and you'll notice just here that there's a little slider just here. You can't see it there. I'll restart it. There you go. There's a little slider just there, so I know it's about to finish, and I can pick it up naturally and be like, so welcome back! And then you always land the video returning back to you. But again, it's about making sure that when you bring a video file in, you've got the shots that you want to come back to on underneath it. With that in mind, though, if you are bringing in the kind of main camera there, you're also bringing in the audio for that camera as well, because you want to be able to speak straight away. So don't go chatting whilst you've got a video playing if you want to do that kind of snap back to your video shot, because otherwise all the audio that's said can be heard over the top of the video file. It will all go out, and that's not handy or any good. Right, so it is 2 o'clock. We're going to take just a little break, just a breather, because you've been staring at the screen for over an hour now, and we are so grateful. If you want to stick around and chat, please do. We're going to be heading up in the live chat. We're going to come back literally in like 4 or 5 minutes. So at kind of like 10 past, just after 10 past, we're going to get another drink, another coffee. We're going to go through some of the last little bits. We're going to look at YouTube Studio. How do we connect then our output and all this stuff we've done with our scenes, our sources, our text? How do we send that to YouTube and get it live out to the world? We're going to do all that. Very briefly at green screening, because I think actually we could do a whole separate tutorial on that, and it's a bit more advanced and not actually that necessary for a lot of the stuff we're doing. And then we're going to have the Q&A, and we'll all dive in the chat room and we can all have a chat with each other. So yeah, you've got 5. We're going to stay here. I'm going to stay here, of course. If you want to chat, please do. We can chat. Naomi, is there anything you kind of thought that as people are getting drinks or kind of having a chill that is kind of important for us to think about?
Well, no, I haven't really thought of anything. I think it's great. I know a lot of people share their links to their own YouTube channels with us, which I was grateful for. And it's really exciting to look at other people and see what they're doing and kind of replicate that, but in your own way. It's just really nice to share. Yeah, it's nice. And if anyone's got any ideas or any specific questions about graphics and stuff, I'd be happy to try and answer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think that's the thing about the Acutis project, obviously named after our soon-to-be, I'm sure, patron saint of the internet. He was very much about using the tools and the skills to reach people with the message of Christ. It's not that complicated, really. He was really good on computers, so he used computers to tell people about Jesus. Like, end of. And we are in this world, so we're using it to tell people about Jesus. It's as simple as that, really. But I think if there's stuff that we can help with, and by all means, there's stuff we're still learning as well. We learn as we go along. I mean, National Youth Fund Day was a whole different learning curve, trying to make that all work for that many people. But we're growing and we're getting stronger. But I think that the key with this project is making sure we bring everyone with us and that we're all doing it together. So in the chat, what we'll do is we can copy and paste all of those YouTube channels. Can we get them off the forms? We can put them in the chat. When we log into the chat room, we'll put all them in. Nothing says I appreciate the importance of digital use in ministry throughout England and Wales, and in fact Ireland, because we've got Ireland in here as well, than saying subscribe to a YouTube channel. So please please click on that and click on this, because it's important. It's what kind of helps us move forward, really. It really is.
Someone's asked a question.
Oh.
Should I hop on the split screen again?
Go on, hop on the split screen.
We don't have to face each other then. Not that we don't like that, but so a few questions actually. Yeah, Mike has asked, what software did you use to create Sting in? So we use Adobe Creative Cloud, which is a great subscription package you can get, and you can download all the Adobe apps. It's great. You can even get them on your phone, so you can get Adobe Spark to make really quick graphics. But we, for the Sting, actually used Adobe Premiere Pro, which is the general video editing software that Adobe have. They also have After Effects, but what we did was there's loads of it's a bit silly to like reinvent the wheel, isn't it?
It is. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. Graphics, text, things, simple animations. You can code them all from scratch. You don't need to. There's a number of websites. I mean, like you mentioned Canva, that's got loads of templates on it. Adobe Stock, Rocket Stock, that's really good for stuff. But if you Google like YouTube intro Stings templates free or something along those lines, you'll just be overwhelmed with stuff. And
you get like an instructional video as well with most of them. Like when I downloaded that this morning, that template, you get options. You could where the little Acutus project logo came up, you could select a circle, a triangle, and you get a little video that tells you how to do all that as well. So it's really useful.
It is, You
can download them one off as well, can't you? You don't have to subscribe to more. So templates is definitely the way forward. Unless you want to learn how to code videos. Unless that's your specific calling.
We are one of the next session that we're planning on doing is one on video editing. So we look mainly at Premiere Pro because it's kind of like the kind of industry standards. That and Final Cut Pro on a Mac, they're very similar. They're called non-destructive linear time scale editors, which basically means that you work using a timeline and you chop bits and move bits around and stuff like that. So all the video animations that we make, we use that. And Naomi mentioned After Effects. After Effects is like Premiere Pro, but on steroids. So it's like super powerful. Like you can do some crazy stuff with it, and it terrifies me, the power that it has. But yeah, there is a tutorial for everything. YouTube is your friend. A lot of the stuff we've learned simply because we didn't know how to do it, and so we looked it up and went on YouTube and found it. But again, a video editing one where we look at stings, look at animations, look at simple shot composition, transitions, graphics, how you make a video from start to finish, how you export it, what video file formats. That's our next project, isn't it? That's our next seminar. So. Well. Oh yeah. Do you want to quickly show the one we made for today?
I can quickly show you that one because they're actually really simple to do. Should we go now? We're back now.
I think we're kind of back. Whoop for Ireland. I know it's great that you guys are with us. It's great that you guys. I'm just going to answer that quick before we go to that one. That other question about because that's the software we use. We use Premiere Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro. But I say Canva is relatively free. You can do bits of it for free, can't you?
Yeah, and actually with Canva, like you can do a lot of different stuff with just one subscription, like to Canva. And loads of social media stuff as well.
We'll pop those links in the Q&A. Any advice on what kit to connect to the church sound system? Okay, yeah. What you need to do is, depending on what your church sound system is like, if it's a decent one, it might just have a headphone out socket. And if that is the case, then you just need a jack-to-jack cable, so like a 1/4 inch or 3.5mm jack. And if you want to just take it straight into the microphone socket of your computer, and then adjust your levels afterwards in the mixer to make sure it's not too loud, too quiet, that's probably the simplest way to do it. Interestingly, one church that I know we work with actually used these because they were streaming from a laptop at the back of church in the choir loft with their camera. They couldn't run a cable from the mixer in the sacristy all the way up to the thing. So what they did was they plugged the headphones into the transmitter, one of these, and then they plugged the output into the computer and brought the audio in. And actually, if you just pop OBS on my screen, when you're bringing in audio and video from two different places, or if you're bringing in audio and video from the same place but as different sources, you need to make sure that they line up, that they're in sync. Often when you're capturing HDMI video, there's a delay. Now at the moment, the capture card that we're using, it's trying to capture at 60 frames per second, which is why it looks a little stuttery at times because of the frequency that we're running at. And that was just an oversight on our part. We set it to the wrong FPS, but we didn't want to stop it. But the problem is sometimes when you've got a capture card and an audio coming in, that they can be out of sync with each other. So inside here in the audio mixer, every source has its own advanced audio properties. And you'll notice that it has something called the sync offset. This is all getting very technical, but we did a live broadcast from the Birmingham Archdiocese from their cathedral. So we had two cameras. One was pretty much in real time. It was very instant because it was a webcam coming straight through. But the other one was an SLR captured through a HDMI capture card, which was out of time with it, which meant that the audio coming through was in time with one camera, but not in time with the other camera. And so what we needed to do was slow down the audio to make sure that it hit the right camera at the right time. And you can do that by adding millisecond offsets. Usually it's around 300, 400 milliseconds. And you just have to play with it. I've got literally hours of video of me going like this to a camera, trying to line up the sound of my claps to a recording. And again, that's what it's really useful to use the recording button for. Just record the video to your hard drive, watch it back, see whether or not the sound comes before or after your picture, and then make the offset and adjustment. And of course, you can do the same on your video sources as well. You can delay your video source and slow them down to get them in place. I think one of the beauties of having a studio like this is we leave everything set up at all times. Not set up for stuff like this. We've kind of attach this studio to that part of the studio so that you can see what we're doing. But usually everything's just set up, turn it on, off you go. And I do think it is worth investing in that kind of setup just to give you the simplicity and the lack of headache. But yeah, connecting from church audio system, you'll either have a jack out or you'll have an RCA out or a twin phono, which will be like a red and a black lead, which will come out from a line out or recording out, which will usually go to a jack. But again, get it into your computer, select that audio input as a source alongside the camera that you're filming from, sync up the audio, and that should be the best way to do it. And again, once you've got it, if you're setting up a permanent streaming station in Mass, then that works really well. Naomi, very quick, you're going to talk about the video, you were going to show the video aids and stuff.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, go for it. Just 5 minutes, and then we'll go on to the last little bits of the.
Certainly. Like I said, there's many with everything. There's many ways you can do things, isn't there? There's many complications to it all. But to make a really simple countdown or count up, which is even easier if you want to do a count up. Like if you want to give people 5 minutes to talk about something, insert it into your video. That's even easier. So you open up Premiere Pro or whatever you're using. Like I said, we are using Premiere Pro, so your new project. Like with everything, every time you open something the first time, you'll have to do a setup, but you can just use the just regular settings. So if you've got a 5-minute video that you want in the background, say you've got just a 5-minute video of a candle and you'd like to use that as the background, you can pop that in. If you haven't got one, don't worry, because you would just click down here, this little, once it opens, usually you'll see the same sort of setup here. So this little new item button, and we want to click on colour matte. Colour matte, and as you'll see, it just automatically goes 1920 1080, which is great. Ideal. Pick a colour. Again, you can be funky, just pick a colour. We're going to go like orange maybe. Pretty cool. Colour matte, just call it orange. There we go, and you've got it here. So this corner here is where all your kind of assets are kept. So any videos, music, colour mattes, like this orange one, you just click and drag into your timeline. Just over here, you'll see there's nothing there yet because we haven't got any music, any videos, nothing in the video currently. Once you drop this here, it creates a timeline for you. So the easiest way to do a countdown is to decide how long you want it to be. So if you want it to be 2 minutes, you just click and drag this to the 2 minute thing, which is here. You can zoom in as well, which is helpful, unless you've got a magnifying glass. So that's 2 minutes. There we go. Then, so that's your base layer, and if you want to click Alt and then click on it and drag it up, it copies it, which is really a useful tip instead of copy and paste and everything. Then, so once we've got those two things, then we want to click the top one and go to effects. Now effects, you can search all sorts, you can go through them, we've got all sorts of effects going on, but just search time code. Time code, and it'll come up there. Just click and drag onto the top one, it says orange, Then you can see you've got your time code here. Okay, that's not a countdown. That looks ugly. It's awful. It's just numbers. It's awful. So how we fix that? Go to Effect Controls, which is in the left. And I realise this is quite like a whistle stop tour of it, isn't it? But
yeah.
you can pause. You can go back. You can rewind this video. So what we want to do first of all is get rid of the field symbol. So that takes away a little bit of it. First of all. Time code source is the media, so that means that if you select that, which we do want to select, is it will automatically be the same length as this bit of media you put it on. So as you can see, it goes to 2 minutes. Actually, you want to have it on clip, not media. Okay, so how we get rid of these edges and the background when you clicked on it as well, you go to Effect Controls, and you've got a setting that says I can never say it. How do you say it? Opacity. Opacity. I can never say it. Opacity. I was trying to say opacity. It's just not a word. Okay, anyway, with that setting there, it's one of those words I've never had to say out loud. You just put it to 0, and then you've got. Okay, background, you may be wondering, but how do I get rid of these milliseconds and hours? Because you're not going to do like a 3-hour countdown. You might do, but probably not. So to get rid of those, all you need to do is go to Effects, Search, Crop. Easy as that. Crop. Drag and drop crop onto the orange there. Then you can just go to the crop Effect Controls. As you'll see, like all of your effects you put onto that just come up at the side here. So you've got time code, crop, and on the left you just want to crop it off a bit, not too far, until there. Maybe just get it right. It takes a bit of no, not that far. But yeah, you want to just crop it so that it crops off enough, but not too much. And then with the right as well, same sort of thing. And as Tom said, we will do more videos in which you can make this a transparent background, but this is just the easiest way to do it. The easiest way. Then you might want to do top. So you've just got a little box there. Okay. So currently, this is, you can move it around now. This is just counting up, so it's counting up from 0 to 2 minutes. But if you want to reverse it, which many people would want to, all you need to do is go to this one, click nest. So this makes a nested sequence, and call it countdown. Countdown. Then you've got a bit more freedom about what you can do with the time with it. So what we're going to do is right click, speed and duration. And without nesting it, you wouldn't have this option to reverse speed. So you need to click reverse speed, click OK, and then you'll see you've got a countdown from 2 minutes. So there we go. That's a really basic, really fast way of making a countdown. Yeah. Really not very detailed. And as with everything we've said, there's so much more you can do. And make it more fancy, bigger, put logos in, animations. A wheel, do a whole video on just countdown.
You could, yeah. And actually, there's stuff like that. It's a reminder that, because when we use countdown videos for our broadcast, they're a great way of making sure that people are on board or watching. It means that you catch people that come in a little bit late, and it kind of gives you a bit of time just to get yourself sorted. But the key is, remember, when you put in a countdown video, like we said before, when you've got a media source, is to make sure that you are behind the media source when you transition to it, because again, once that countdown video finishes, instantly goes live to you, who are sat there going, what am I on? Is it me? And you'll notice very quickly, because we're heading very much towards the kind of Q&A bit at 2:30, that I put our green screen down. Now, it's not lit brilliantly, which means it won't work fantastically, but I did want to just give you a quick oversight, because OBS actually also gives you the ability to green screen yourself, which means you can put yourself anywhere in the world. It's very, very cool. 2 things are missing, though, sadly, from our setup. The first are background lights. When you are using a green screen, you have to make sure that you're not just lighting the subject, but lighting the screen as well, because if you'll notice, what's happened is there are 2 little shadowy me's on there, and the key with any kind of green screen is that it's uniform and flat. And there also, the other thing we're missing is there shouldn't really be any gaps. That's because we're not going off our main camera. Having said that, I can still show you in principle how to use it. So say like we're on this one here, I'm going to duplicate this. This is going to be our green screen. We've got our webcam source there. We're going to apply a filter, the green screen filter, which is actually called, it's down here in Effect Filters. It's called chroma key. Okay, chroma key is the technical term for green screening. And every time you see green screening, it's called chroma key because it's not actually about whether it's green or not. It's just pulling out one particular narrow band of colour. And the reason you choose green is because it doesn't occur that often, although I've worn a green lanyard, so that's going to disappear in a minute. But you can also use blue. At home, when I green screen stuff for course I'm doing, I use a blue screen. You obviously don't use things like a red or a yellow or orange screen because it pulls out that from your skin tone and makes you look washed out, like you're kind of like monotone. So yeah, we go to a chroma key. And what you do is you'll notice that actually it's kind of pulled out a bit of the green, which is not bad. The easy way to do it is to go to select a custom colour, and you can actually pick a colour from your video. So you see here it's pulled out the pink colours here. If I select colour, pick screen colour, and pick that green, it'll actually map out that, and then I can adjust my similarity to bring in or take out various bits. So you'll notice that bit is kind of knocked out that green screen a bit in the back. The smoothness enables you to try and repair some of the thing, and then the spill reduction enables you to clean up a little bit of the colour. It's not too bad, but what it means is you'll now notice I've got this black bit behind me. If I then add an image, and go to image. In fact, I'll add my tent image back in. I think it was image 2, and I put that behind the webcam. You'll see I'm now in front of the. Oh, let me transition over here. You'll see I'm now in front of the tent. So I've now got a new backdrop behind me. Oh, cool, right? I mean, honestly, I've spent zero time making that look any good. And should make sure your background is lit evenly, and make sure you're pulling out and getting the colours right, adjusting those 3 sliders. So on your filters for your webcam, the 3 sliders that are really important are similarity, smoothness, and colour spill reduction. The lower the similarity, the better. The higher the similarity, it will start pulling out all the other colours until everyone disappears. So the lower the better with that. Smoothness tries to repair some of the bits and make it a bit better. Those 3 sliders are what you need to do just to play around with. And again, I know very much in a whistle stop tour, that's because only one person out of the 40 odd people who wanted to learn about it said I want to learn about it. So I didn't want to ignore it, but it's a tool and it's built into that. One of the things it does mean you can do though, obviously you've got this one here. If I take it back, and I do this on some of the courses, I like to have, rather than just like the PowerPoint, I like to be able to gesticulate and wave my arms around and talk in the corner. You can have kind of little versions of you then in the corner going like hello whilst you're talking about stuff, and it looks just a little bit more interesting than having you in a box, and just makes it kind of a bit more engaging. So yeah, green screen, really, really important. Now, one thing we've got to show you before we go to the Q&A is how do we take what we're doing in OBS out to the world, out to YouTube. Before we do that though, one question, great question from, and this is literally one of my favourite questions. How do you find the undo button on OBS when you accidentally move the wrong frame? Right, I literally move the wrong frame every other frame. Like, it's so easy to click the wrong frame, it does my head in. There isn't an undo button. I know, right? Now, if you want to jump ship, there is another version of OBS, right? Bear with me on this, called Streamlabs OBS, which is, because OBS is open source, anyone can do anything like with it. So this kind of forked off from OBS and created a kind of parallel program. They work pretty much identically. Streamlabs is very much used by the gaming streamers, but Streamlabs have implemented very recently Control and Z to undo whatever you've just done. OBS haven't. You can read lots of wonderful forum debates as to why or why not it should have an undo function. I think it should, but it does not. So sorry, but the answer is negative on that one. So how do we connect this to YouTube? Right, we're going to do this, okay? YouTube live streaming works in 2 different ways, and just a little plug for kind of, I suppose, a spin-off arm of the Acutis project called Ministream, which is particularly focused on live streaming. Ministream is a website that we created with tutorials about how to do basic kind of live streaming setup. So we've got things like setting up your channel, uploading videos, live streaming on a laptop, that kind of stuff. You can do live streaming without any of this software and literally just plug your laptop at the back of church and click go. And there's a video all about that on ministream.co.uk, so check that out because that will talk you through that. But what we need to do is show you how to plug OBS into YouTube or in fact any other piece of software. We'll make it full screen for this one, and then just so we can see. Okay, so in the YouTube bit, when you're logged into your YouTube channel, you need to click on Go Live, and you end up in something called YouTube Studio. Something, just to give you a heads up, it takes 24 hours for you to have live streaming enabled. So if you just make a channel an hour before Mass, sorry people, it ain't going to happen. Okay, you've got to have your account not only enabled and in place, but also verified. And there's a number of steps you have to go through verifying email address, website ownership, phone number, just to make sure that it's not super easy and just to jump on and start live streaming to try and protect the integrity of the channel. But once you've got that set up, and again, there's a video on ministream.co.uk telling you all about how to build and set up and start a YouTube channel. So watch that video and it'll talk you through all of it. You end up in YouTube Studio. Now, as I said before, you've got the webcam option, which will actually allow you to stream just using your webcam and the sound from your webcam. And it's really quite straightforward. It's very cool. But what actually we're going to do is going to go to the Manage tab, and we're going to go to Schedule Stream, because we're going to create a different one. So these are all the ones that these are all of our past live streams. The good thing is you can actually create a stream using the settings from a previous stream. So you can use something like, let's use our old Monday Morning Club, click Reuse Settings. You get all this, you put in your things. When you're testing, make sure you set your privacy to unlisted, not to private. If you set it to private, you have to be logged in as you to watch it. But if you want people on your team or people elsewhere to test it and look at it, unlisted, like today's is not public. No one will find it unless they've got the link, but it means that anyone can watch it. So it's great for testing with a friend at another centre or somewhere else in the country or that kind of stuff. So we put it as unlisted. We put our description in, your time, thumbnail, all that kind of stuff. This is something that YouTube have brought in. It's very, very important. You might think, yes, what we're doing is made for kids, okay? And yes, it kind of is, and it also kind of isn't. If you're aiming solely at people who are in primary school and there is going to be no adults and there's no, then yes, absolutely click yes, made for kids. If it's for a family audience, don't put yes, it's made for kids, because it restricts where you can see it, it restricts your permissions, it restricts the live chat, it restricts lots of things to protect very young children. It's meant to protect them from finding kind of dodgy content or live chats and stuff on things like cartoons or animations that are just for very little people. So just make sure that where you can, you click no, so that you can use the full feature set, and click create. You'll then get a lovely kind of slightly scary kind of window where you can see inside your live stream. So we've got one of these for this live stream, which is currently going out. But the only thing you need to worry about is this bit where it says stream key. Now we've got lots of different stream keys, but if you click create new stream key, you can call it something like test marvelous, and then we can vary bit rate, and just click create. It will give you this stream key here, which is very complicated. Click copy, because what we do then in YouTube, in OBS, is we tell it to send it to YouTube with this stream key. And what YouTube does when it receives all your lovely data is it then assigns it to your event. So in your settings, you go to stream, and you'll notice the stream key we put in before. We just put a test in before. We're now going to put in this one here, and we've got our lovely stream key with YouTube's primary ingest server. That's all set up as normal, so that's great. What will happen now is, if I click start streaming, it's not going to go live because it's unlisted, so that's absolutely fine. I might put something back on here. Might take my filter off so it doesn't look too bad. Marvellous. In fact, I might even wind up my green screen. So, one thing I'd highly recommend, if you can get them, background rollers, so you can get rid of your backgrounds and stuff really quickly. Put my perspex back. Marvellous. Okay, so we've got our kind of setup. We're going to send this out to the world. We've got everything set up, I think. We're going to go back into our settings and just check what our output settings are. So look, in our output, we've got 4,000 kilobytes per second. So again, between 2.5 and 4,000. And then we've got, we don't need to worry about any of the advanced stuff. It's all as it needs to be. In your stream, you've got that set up now as well. That's marvellous. There we go, and we've got general, which is all good as well. One thing in your video tab you'll notice, let me stop virtual camera because I can't, and this is sometimes something overlooked, so make sure in your video tab, you'll notice you've got your base canvas resolution, which we've set to full HD, but it's set the default output scaled resolution as only normal HD, or 1280 by 720. Now we don't want to do that, we want to output 1:1. The reason you want to output 1:1 is because there's no processing involved. If you are going from a smaller source to a bigger source, the computer has to make it bigger on its way, more processing. Or if it's making it bigger and making it smaller, still more processing, even though there's less data going out. So again, you want to make sure those two numbers are the same, and we're going for full HD as before, so we'll put that in there. Marvellous, and click apply. Now, because we've got the stream key clicked in, we actually click start streaming, and don't worry, you won't go live to the world without kind of realising it. If we click start streaming just there and head back to YouTube, what will happen is this will all of a sudden in a minute, I hope, turn to excellent connection, because we've got an excellent connection and the bandwidth is more than capable of handling that. And in a minute you're going to see the preview window appear just there. There's about a 30-second delay, and it's coming in. Oh, there it is. Marvellous. There's me outputting to YouTube right now, and you can see my little preview. You can unmute it just there, just to test the audio levels and make sure everything's all right. You can do a bit of a talk and a chat and make sure all good, because nothing will happen until you click this button at the top right, which says go live. When you click go live, it will go live from the point that is on the monitor preview. So don't click go live and be like, hey guys, because actually it'll have the last 30 seconds you going, is this on? Is this right? Are we doing this? Are we going? Should we do now? Yeah, no. It'll have all of that. So what we tend to do is we set it up, we plug it in, we make sure everything's looking all good. We go back to OBS. We get our waiting video, and obviously we've only got our normal video at the moment, but we'll put that on. Let's put that on there. So we'll, and then I wait in YouTube until I see the video, because when the video is playing, I know that I'm off camera. I'm waiting for it. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. And obviously it's a 2-minute video, so you click go live while the video is going live. And it will go live starting with the animation video, or starting with your countdown video. And of course, when it finishes, you're there, you're ready. Top tip though, okay? Don't watch this preview window as to when to start speaking, okay? Because you'll notice, if I go back to OBS, it's a lot further on. It's about 30 seconds on. So my top tip is this. Once you've got that set up, once you've got your video started, your 2-minute video started, and you click go, get back into OBS and watch where the video is in OBS, because that is real time. Whatever's in the program window is what's going out. And when that video finishes, you just go, and everything else will come out 30 seconds later to YouTube. Cool. Right, we're going to get into the chat room for the last few minutes. I really appreciate you being, give Streamlabs a go. Definitely do. It's a great piece of software, absolutely free as well, and really good. And it's got some different functionality, but the principles are the same, scenes and sources. We sent you a link to Google Meet. I'm going to try and bring that up on this screen right now. I'm going to stop streaming just for a minute and finish that YouTube broadcast. There we go. Marvellous. That's all done. Fantastic. Right, so if I start the virtual camera. We've got our perspex in place, so I might move over now and we can come and join us here, hopefully here as well. And let's go back up to our live chat room and see if the Bryce team must... No, they've left me. They've left me. It's fine. Right, if you want to log into that chat room, the link that we sent you is Google Meet. You should be able to log into that and we can have a chat. If you won't be offended, if you want to get on with life and finish, and if you've not got any questions, you want to email questions or get in touch with us later, you can do. But if you want to come and join us for the chat room, I think it'd be really good just to have a bit of a chance for a Q&A and have a talk about what we're doing. But I'd like to say thank you so much for what you're doing. The fact that you're here shows that you're investing and you're committed to making these things work, and I really hope that we can help support you along the way. Again, check out ministream.co.uk for those tutorial videos, and of course we'll send you the link to this video so you can watch it back afterwards and go over any of that software. But I think someone put it in the chat, you're absolutely right. It seems simple once you know. It is. Practicing is the key thing for us. Absolutely is the key thing for you. Just play, test, practice. That's how it's gonna get easier for you, and it's exactly the same way we've learned. Mike says, if you include words for hymns as text, is this coverable? Oh, that is a great question. Are there copyright issues that need permissions to use and music? Yes, that's a massive area. Music copyright is. So, in a nutshell, YouTube pays a lot of the license fees for a lot of music, so actually putting third-party music or singing songs that you don't own is usually okay, because what YouTube will do is it will recognise it using its very clever algorithms, and it will tell you it's recognised it, and if you accept that it's recognised copyrighted material in your video, it means you can't make any money off it, not that we're there to do that, and it means that any of the ad revenue that's generated by people watching it or clicking on anything around it will then go to the license holder, and the licenses will be paid in that respect. What it might do, and this is why it's always a good idea to test upload a private video with any copyrighted music you're going to use, is it might be that there isn't the license for it on YouTube, and when it detects it, it will say you're not allowed to use this, and it will just mute it out. We had an absolute nightmare of we were doing a dramatic production of the Stations of the Cross, and it was beautiful, and we had a lovely piece by Ludovico Einaudi, who is a spectacular composer but not spectacularly generous, in so much as soon as YouTube detected it, it's restricted in every continent, in every part of the world, and it shut our stream down automatically for a copyright violation. So you can test it out by uploading stuff to YouTube, but actually YouTube has its own audio library of copyright free stuff. In terms of words on screen, my understanding is on the CCLI stuff, if you register it, there is actually provision for digital projection, but again, if you're doing restricted or closed and not publicly accessible stuff, then the rules are different. You'll need to check with which particular license provider you provide, but a lot of the time YouTube will cover it, is what I'm saying, and in the most part we've been okay with using stuff because YouTube has recognised it as copyrighted content and then used it. Welcome everybody to the chat room, good to see you. We'll try and we should be streaming the chat room as well, so you can, if I speak, you should be able to hear me through that microphone now as well, which will get a bit confusing, but it just means that we're recording the chat as well. Hey Miss James, good to see you. Thanks Mary, you're very welcome. Thanks Leeds Diocese, thank you All Hallows Catholic School. I'm really glad it's useful. Honestly, it's really important to us that we help or can share and do this. And I have no doubt that we will start seeing stuff and think, oh, actually, how do we do that? Because it's the only way we grow and learn as a church is by actually sharing and celebrating what we do together. So we'll be in the live chat now for a bit. So come and stick around in there. If you can't get in, just let me know in the chat. But if not, then thank you for your time. We'll send you all the links, all the information out afterwards. And thank you for being part of the first ever Acutis Project live stream, because hopefully the first of many. And come back for video editing crash course, because we are doing that I think next month, aren't we? Start of February, I think that's the plan. So amazing. Thank you very much. I'll head to the chat room. How are we doing, everybody? Yeah, you can unmute yourself at the bottom, a little red microphone, and we should be able to chat and hear.
We can stream it on.
Yeah, so if you send me, yeah.
Live, aren't they? Yeah.
That's cool. Hi Bex, hi James, how you doing?
All good. How do I want to send the chat link to someone. Where's the chat
so
link?
yeah, the chat window is at the top, just next to where the clock is. There's a little chat with everyone. If you click on that, little window pops in from the side, and you can copy and paste something that we can all see into there.
No, the other way around. I wanted to send that link to someone else, but that's okay.
Oh, I send the link for this room to someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you just go to the address bar and copy it out of the address bar, that's all you need to send. It's
and then I need to get it onto WhatsApp. Are you live streaming still?
Yeah.
And get on WhatsApp web on your computer.
Yeah. Can you shove it in the chat on WhatsApp? Oh, sorry, on the YouTube live chat, and then she can
yes,
click on it.
absolutely can. Yeah, that's no problem at all. He says.
Emma, if you can hear me, click on they're going to put it in the chat, and you can click on it.
Let's put it in the chat. 14 subscribers as well, so thank you. Look at that. We're still live. Let's put it in the live chat. There we go. Let's go back here. Hi everyone. But yeah, if anyone's got any questions or would just like to share about what's going on where you guys are, because I think actually what's been lovely about today is there's such a lovely cross-section of people from different organisations in different parts of the country. It's a really great example, I think, of what we're hoping to achieve, isn't it, with all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I've noticed as well since lockdown, people have got so many different ideas about how you can share. Like there's so many different ways of sharing mass even online. It's so nice to share ideas and share. Yeah.
Definitely is. what I'm hoping is the fact that no one's coming to the live chat. Obviously you guys are very welcome. Is that we've answered lots of questions already, which is good. But is there anything particular any of you guys would like to ask or like to ask about or look for or? No,
I kind of wish you weren't streaming me looking like an idiot, but I'm going to ask the questions anyway.
Yeah.
Tom, like that was incredible, but I reckon I understood 15% of what you said in that time. And what I can't work out is what I actually need to understand.
Sure. Yeah. It's a really good question. No, I think it's whenever someone goes off on their kind of geekiness when they love something so much and they're just like, and do this and do that and do that. Scenes and sources. If you take nothing away from today, it's understanding how scenes and sources work, and just having the confidence, not even that, just having the curiosity to get OBS Studio downloaded and to start practicing and playing with it. The good thing is you can just record your output to your hard drive and then watch it back, so you can see what your pretend shows look like, and just build and practice and practice and practice and practice. It's a piece of software that's updated so regularly as well. New features are added all the time, but understanding that a scene is a collection of sources, and your sources are all the various visual bits that you're showing at any one time. Getting that concept is, I think, the hardest thing to get around. And then when you realise that actually cutting from one thing to another actually is just a case of changing scene. But by changing scene, you can bring in all sorts of things in one go. Bring in a video, bring in a text, bring in a overlay for mass words, all that kind of stuff. Then that's what for me was the key kind of thing, that the penny I suppose that needed to drop. Scenes and sources. But yeah,
it like with everything, I know it's easier said than done, but it does get so much easier. I mean, I only started using it in the first lockdown was the first time I'd ever heard of OBS, and it's so much. It becomes as natural as just changing apps on your phone after a while, doesn't it?
It does.
It's one of those things. If you have a few practices, you do some funny presentations just for yourself. Oh
gosh.
Just make scenes about like mini scooters or something. I don't know, and just practice with something just for fun, and you get a lot more relaxed with it as well. I think
this hard drive is filled with videos of me just saying, "Hi guys, how are you doing?" And I'm literally talking to nobody, and here's a really cool video appearing on top of my face, and it's just So, does OBS Virtual Camera stream to Insta and Facebook so we can have everything streaming at once? Wow. Okay, this is a really really good question. We once managed to get a stream simultaneously going out to Instagram and YouTube at the same time. Bizarrely enough, a lot of the social networks, Facebook included, actually have terms of service, which means that you're not allowed to duplicate stream to multiple platforms at one time. They don't particularly like it. The virtual camera, however, does mean that you can stream to these platforms if you can get them up on your computer. If you can get to Instagram and kind of plug your webcam into that, yes, you can use OBS with Instagram. We have used OBS purely with Instagram. There is a website which takes a stream from OBS and plugs it into Instagram, and I can't remember what it's something to do with a yellow duck, is it, or something like that? Let me have a look.
It's something IO allows you to multiple stream, I think.
Yes. So Restream.io is the one you're talking about. Yeah, and that enables certain combinations of platforms where the permissions allow it. Yes, you're absolutely right. And for that, all you do is you plug, you select in OBS the RTMP server, and you plug in Restream.io's details, which will be a web address and a stream key, and then because Restream's got all of your various networks, it will then do the work for you. So yes, you're absolutely right. Restream does do that.
I haven't tried it yet. I need to try it, but I wondered if that works. So
it does work, but a lot of the combos that people want don't work. So, for example, you can't do Facebook and YouTube at the same time. They just won't let you. And actually, it can be a terms of service violation, so they can restrict your account, and it's not worth it. Often it's what we tend to do is we put an archive up in various other places, or a link to the video afterwards. Insta and YouTube, again, technically not possible, but going straight to Insta, yes, this is what you need to use. It's called Yellow Duck. It's a bit of a workaround, but it does work. We have used it. It literally works within a very small window of time. You have to plug it in, and you've got about 4 minutes from setting up to starting your stream to getting it to work, but you can do an Instagram Live with OBS and all the beautifulness. One thing you've got to make sure if you're doing that though is that you set OBS up to a 9:16 screen, not a 16:9 screen, because of course Instagram Lives are portrait and not landscape. You can of course set any output resolution in OBS, but you've got to make sure that it's not a 1920 by 1080. You'd be doing a 1080 by 1920. You just reverse them, so it's longer than it is wider. But that's how you can use that website and again play with it, practice with it, but don't practice with it on your actual Instagram, because there's no practice on Instagram. When you go live, that's it, you're live. So we've got like a hidden Instagram account.
Like me and you follow it.
It's just me and you follow it. Yeah, just so we can practice stuff for Insta. But yeah, great question, really good question. Let's see if there's anything else in the chat. Yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of Restream.io and all those kind of things you do have to pay for if you want to do anything above the basic functionality. There is, and maybe I shouldn't be telling you this because it's opening up a whole world of technical pain and complication. There is a way to simultaneously stream to YouTube and Instagram Live using the recording button and a hack-in plugin, but there's a tutorial for it on YouTube. As I say, we managed to get it working once and then we abandoned it just because it was so stressful. It actually took away from the quality of the broadcast. And I suppose that's the other thing as well. That's a really good point. All this is, once you've got it set up, it's designed to make it easier to do good stuff, because it's all well and good you having the best graphics and lower thirds, but if you're not actually doing a very good stream, it doesn't matter how good it looks and people aren't going to be interested. So being able to use this is actually about trying to enable it to be less stressful and more engaging.
I guess as we ended up almost accidentally, because we were trying to have a backup system, and one mass, the priest was streaming it straight off his phone to Facebook, and we were streaming it off our setup in OBS to YouTube. So we did simultaneously stream by using two completely independent setups. That's a bit excessive.
Well, yeah, but it worked, didn't it? And do you know what? Fair play for you for hacking it out, because that's what you got to do sometimes. Absolutely. I mean, we did a live broadcast with our bishop is quite keen on the whole live broadcast thing, because we do quite a lot of them, and he likes to be with the time, and that's all good. It's great to have someone embracing like that. But we've had times where we've got there and his internet's been down. It's like, that's not a problem, is it? And I'm like, it is a problem, and we bought a whole setup and ended up doing the whole thing off a phone and hoping for the best. The worst one was where we couldn't get there live, but we wanted to make it look live, and I'll share this with you privately amongst the internet. There's been times where stuff that's looked live has not been particularly live. My favourite one was though when we had to film it on a phone, because we had to do it with no prep or whatsoever, and then we put the phone in front of the camera and live streamed the phone screen out with a filter on it to make it look like it was the actual event, but actually it was just a live stream of my phone held to a camera. I mean, wow. That's the lowest of the low. I think that's as low as I've gone, and thankfully those days I hope are long behind me. Because we've got a lot better at taking and making these things portable. One of the things I did want to show you, actually, I think it's on that chair there, Naomi. When we live stream on location, the laptop we've got is great. It's just to say, it's always got a decent Core i5 or Core i7 processor. Is one of these. This is a revelation. This is a monitor, right? That you can use to have your second screen on, but it's USB powered and USB data. So it's a USB-C monitor. All you do is literally plug the USB-C cable into your computer, and it powers it and makes a second monitor for you. Completely portable. No batteries, no charging, no plug-in. It's one of the best on-location streaming things we've done, because we're often asked to go to chapels or churches and that kind of stuff, and they've not got the gear. So it's about 150 quid. So again, it's more than a monitor would be, but having the ability then not to have a battery, not to have a power lead, literally connected to your computer powers it and sends the data and gives you that second monitor option, made everything so much easier. Are there any other questions about anything or anything we can do? And if not, then I suppose the only thing to do is to shamelessly plug everything that we've got going on, which is not a lot yet, but
there's lots in the pipeline.
There is lots, yeah. The video editing is next, I think, and we'll do a real deep dive into Adobe Premiere Pro and
stuff. I'd like to ask, but I don't know how I don't know if it's going to be a bit boring for everyone else. But
go on, go for it.
Okay, so just very quickly, I noticed on OBS your sound was hitting the red quite a lot, and I understood the best thing was to kind of keep the sound out of the red. Have I understood wrong, or were you not noticing? Or what? Where should the sound be pitched?
Right, absolutely, yeah. No, I mean, you can actually change where the red bits appear on the thing depending on your preferences. Ideally, your maximum peak should be at 0 decibels. That's the technical thing. So, so actually, that technically is in the red. But I like to stay out of the red because I like to leave myself a bit of headroom in case I laugh all of a sudden, or a bit of headroom is great, because what you don't want is any clipping, which is obviously what it's called when you're going to go over the red, and it kind of, you lose the audio, the wave. Now, today we're a little bit hacked together because we've actually connected both of our studios together, so it's there are some audio variances that we've tried our best to kind of work out, which is why it was doing that today. But in OBS, I don't know if you can still see my screen. I bet you can't still.
Yeah.
Can they still see my screen? Oh yeah, oh marvellous, yeah. So yeah, in the audio mixers, you'll notice that on one of them, probably not on this one, all you do is simply just take it down, and it will change where the max peak can fall. So I like to have our max peaks in the yellow, which then gives you a bit of headroom. But yeah,
aim for yellow. I'll aim for yellow.
Yeah, aim for yellow, definitely. Because other than that, then people will have to turn it up so loud that you start bringing all the hiss and the background, because there is inherent noise when you're connecting so many different bits of kit together. Studios and live broadcasters spend thousands getting rid of all that kind of hiss and hum and stuff. So as long as your sound quality is hitting that yellow, that's where I'd absolutely like to be. But a bit of red's okay. It's just when you. I've
got another geeky question, but I want to. If anyone else wants to ask something, I don't want to hog the show.
No, it's great. I love geeky questions.
Okay, so when I tried to window capture a Zoom, it just gave me this weird white screen. So we had to stick the whole of the Zoom on do a monitor capture. Is that have you ever come across that? And is there some sort of setting, possibly a security setting on Zoom or something? I don't know.
We on Windows or Mac?
This was the Windows.
Okay, so in the display capture, in the window capture options, I think I've still got my window capture up. Yeah, still got you in there. There is different capture methods. So I would experiment with using the older window capture method. It's probably because of the video protocol that Zoom's using in the browser that doesn't translate very well. But as I was just about to suggest, my fix would be move to a display capture, and it removes all the problems. And you obviously already used that workaround. So
yeah, it would have been easier because we had lots of things we were trying to capture on that occasion, and then we were tying up monitors, and then we were shrinking the sizes down, but the sort of thing. But okay. So,
I mean, an interesting workaround, and I'm going to kind of name drop. So my friend Katie, she's my best friend from school. She is a vision mixer. She works she used to work for Sky. She now works for Formula One and the Houses of Parliament, who is in fact the same company, which is an interesting fact. But her job was, she was part of the team that made the virtual House of Commons, and the way she did and got all the MPs in was they had 24 laptops, all with an individual Zoom call to individual MPs, all through a HDMI mixer, and brought them in as a HDMI source. So actually, rather than using monitor capture, you can use a HDMI video input through those little capture dongles, and actually have a separate laptop for your chats, and bring them in, and you can have numerous chats as a laptop, because that's actually what we've done. We were actually streaming off the computer in the corner of our studio, and we're actually using a mirror of this monitor that I'm working on via HDMI capture. So it just comes in as a HDMI feed. It means it's much easier to switch between, and that can be a great way of working.
Would you say the quality is as good as it all being in one PC, but actually just capturing a completely independent PC is the quality up there?
Yeah, if it's a HDMI out, it should be absolutely full HD, no trouble. I mean, if Hamish, you want to, I would happy to geek out. There's another bit of software called OBS Ninja, which is a remote location feed tool for bringing in. This is what we use for National Youth Fun Day, to bring in the HD feeds from Newcastle and London, and you can bring them in as sources, so you've actually got remote feeds without having to worry about capturing software or capturing windows or displays. It actually just literally plugs into a URL that they can stream stream their cameras to. It's brilliant. But you sound very much like the kind of person that could easily figure it out. So if you go and have a look at OBS Ninja and look at the video tutorials, it's brilliant.
I have one more geeky question, but again, if anyone else wants to ask them, I don't want to hog it.
I know Mike's just put his hand up. Do you want to go? Because I know Mike, you just joined us. It's great to see you, Mike. Thank you for joining us. And then we'll definitely come back because I've always got time for a geeky question. Mike.
There it is. Can you hear me okay?
We can indeed.
I just want to check, this is more to do with church again. If you're setting up multiple cameras to get different views, you want a view of the reader, you want a view of the priest, one which might be an overall view of the whole thing. But how are you going to hardwire that? Or do you need wireless? How are you going to configure all that, plus the audio from a mixer which is in the presbytery, all into one package that syncs?
Great question. My solution whenever we've done churches like that is to cheat and actually just to use two cameras, but two specific cameras. One, a wide angle webcam, because it's super easy, low stress on the computer, just filming the whole church, because everyone's always going to want to see the whole church. And the second is to use a zoom camera, almost like an old school handheld camcorder. In fact, if we got, I'm going to show you the one we use, because it's actually really old. But it works fantastically well. We use this kind of old thing. It's quite an old one, a proper old like this, but it's got a 20 times optical zoom on it because obviously they had much better optical zooms on these kind of things. And it's got, as they have done, had for ages on these kind of cameras, a HDMI out. So what I do is I have this on a tripod that I can then put either on the altar or the lectern, and then I just cut away. I cut to the wide angle camera, readjust this one, cut back to it. And particularly for mass, that's really quite straightforward to do, because cutting to the wide angle whilst the audio stays consistent really works. And that way you've just got a two camera setup from the same location. You don't need to worry about having them wired anywhere. I mean, again, if you can get towards the back of the church, that works really well because the zoom will easily carry it. And then you've only then got to sync up the audio with two videos. Yes, you could permanently wire in a webcam next to your thing, a camera next to your thing, a camera next to your thing, and switch between all of them. But in terms of computer load and ease, a roving zoom cam and a fixed wide angle cam is the one that the combination that we found is the most cost effective and most accessible for getting the mass done. Does that make sense?
It does. It's just in our case, I mean, as in a lot of cases, the organ loft, which would be which is at the back of church, overlooking it, would be the ideal place to set all this equipment up. But the mixer for the altar sound is at the other end of the church, next to the altar in the presbytery. And then you've got the sound coming out of the speakers as well in the church.
What I would suggest is to use something like the Rode Video Mic Grows, or a simple one. You can get kind of cheaper imitation versions of this on Amazon for about 30 quid just to test the concept. But if all your audio is only the mixer out audio, it won't matter about ambient audio, because all you'll be using is the audio from the priest and from the lectern. Because if the only audio source you're using, if you mute the audio from all your cameras and only put the audio source as the one that you're pulling wirelessly from the mixer, that actually would probably be the best way of doing it. And that's a way. In my church, it's exactly that situation. Our camera's in the choir loft, miles away from anything else, and we use a wireless transmitter to get from the mixer to the camera, because, like you say, that's the best place for a zoom cam and a wide angle camera to be. And again, these, if you look for Rode Video Mic Goes and then look at suggested alternatives on Amazon, about 30-40 quid, they do lots of little clip-on transmitters and senders, and it's just literally a 3.5mm jack in one end, out the other end. And it's a good way to experiment with that.
And you don't get any what's the word I'm looking for?
Interference, feedback,
phasing between, because the speakers that the priest is speaking to are all along the side of the wall at the same level, well, just below the level of the organ loft. So you've got that sound coming at the microphone in the camera then.
So yeah, I would mute the cameras. I wouldn't bring any audio in from any camera, and just solely use the audio from the mixer, and it will make it much cleaner that way.
Right.
But you need to add them as separate sources. So you'd add your audio, and in OBS, when you add a video source, at the bottom you can actually select to not capture or use a custom audio device, and that means it will not then capture the audio, or just mute it in the thing. So if over here, just clicking on that and just mute it in the mixing desk, and that way you'll only have the mixer audio, which is all you actually want.
Right. Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah.
Cool.
My mind's
Hamish, I can feel that geeky question burning.
I just want to hang out with you all day now. This is just so geek. This is like geek-tastic. Okay, so we started with an Elgato 4K cam link.
Yep.
But we were using a low-spec PC. It caused the PC to crash. So we ditched that in favour of of using a DSLR with the Canon EOS webcam utility, which I'm sure you've come across. Yep. Haven't been overly impressed with the quality of that. Yeah. So my question is, we've now got a better spec PC, which I haven't got around to trying it, but I guess that will, I'm assuming that will work with the Elgato cam link. My question is, 4K cam link versus Canon USB utility versus 100 quid on a Logitech 920, or I've already got a Razco, something similar to a 920. Sure. It's not good, but it's a high-spec webcam. Any experience of what's going to give me the best results of what to avoid?
Yeah, I mean, the computer is probably the linchpin on that one. I mean, I can guarantee you the C920 will give you a really sharp, clear, decent, balanced picture every time. It's a great webcam, and it's just...
Does it zoom? Like, the reason we went with DSLR is because of the zoom capabilities. I read some in 920 used to be able to zoom, but they disabled it or something weird.
I mean, the zoom would only be digital zoom, and it would only be losing quality anyway.
Bringing in a closer frame, yeah.
Yeah. The C920. I mean, they do it. There's the C922 SE. There's the slightly newer one. There's the Logitech Brio, which is their 4K version. Which they're all in the hundreds of pounds. They're quite expensive, but they are brilliant. And the fact is, they are just reliable. No power, no one cable, and for a lot of the churches that we've worked with in getting them set up, they've literally got a C920 pointed at the altar, and that's it. They just have it at the altar there, the lectern there, and everything is just on one shot, one fixed shot. No, advanced stuff. Obviously, we want to encourage them to move on a bit, but yeah, the C920 is always reliable. The computer issue, and particularly with OBS, it's all to do with hardware encoding. If you've got an Intel processor, this literally makes the world of difference. In here, you'll notice that I'm going to stop my virtual camera, but you'll notice that it says encoder. What it'll usually say by default is software X264, which is like which basically means your computer's doing all the work, which is fine if you've got a really, really good computer, but not good. What you want to really be on is hardware encoding. So there's two versions that it does. It does NSYNC, which is the NVIDIA one. So if you've got an NVIDIA card or motherboard, or QuickSync, which is built into every Intel processor, i5 and above, from like generation 4 onwards. If you switch to that, you will notice your processor load drop dramatically, because it offloads all that work to the kind of the stuff on the processor, and it means that the chances of you crashing, your drop frames, the stress put on it is just so much lower. So if you go into OBS, if you've got QuickSync encoding, I'd go with the Camlink, because the quality will be better. The EOS camera software is okay, but it's only bringing it over USB 2, and it's a much lower bandwidth. Henceforth, you're not going to get the best quality. It's not designed for. It's designed so you can plug it into Zoom, not so you can broadcast with it. Whereas the Camlink, so I suppose C920 for reliability every day of the week. But if your computer's got hardware encoding, 4K for me is what we use as our default setup all the time.
Okay. Thank you. I think our newer computer does, because we've got quite an expensive graphics card for it.
Oh right. Well, I mean, yeah. Again, so if the NVENC encoder is the NVIDIA one, if it's got it, either one of them is absolutely like spot on, and it just takes all the work off the processor and leaves you the bandwidth to get with what you want. Cool. I'm conscious of your time and everyone else's time, and please, if there's more you want to chat about, or you go away and you meet a hurdle and you're like, how do I do this? Just message us, and again, we'll get on with the next one will be in a month's time. But I'm really grateful for your time and attention and for being here this afternoon. So thank you very much. We'll send out an evaluation form and do all the kind of standard stuff, because again, this is all new for us, and we want to make sure it's what people want and need and is useful. But hopefully, there's something you can take away. And please share with us the fruits of your labour as well. We'd love to see what kind of comes back. But thank you everybody for joining us today.
Is Mike's hands
Will we be able to access? Sorry, will we be able to access the video after this? Or?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So we'll send you the link to the archive of this in a couple of months' time. We'll make it public, but we want to keep it for the people who registered because that's only fair, and give it to you guys because you're here. But yeah, we'll send you the link to it afterwards so you can get that.
And we're on Twitter as well now. I know we're on Instagram.
Oh.
Thank you for all the Instagram followers, but we're now on Twitter. So if you want to tweet us and say like, shout out to Coots Project or anything,
Yeah,
you know,
big time.
if you wanted to do that, we will happily share your endeavours as well with everyone. You know, we'll support each other. It's not just one way. So
Definitely. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
And there we go. End stream.